Hello. It is gay Wraith time. We are here to play Pathfinder. We're gonna play some Pathfinder. Why don't you introduce yourself, dear? It is your channel.
So exciting!
You. I am Mitha VT. I am here today to just sort of generally advise and be like encouraging that yes, in fact, you can play this game.
Okay, cool.
This game is actually worth playing.
Am I not muted anymore? How's my audio sound?
Okay. I hear myself on the stream just fine.
Yes, I checked if yours was working. I did not check if mine was working.
Oh god, your model's having a heart attack.
Yeah, it tends to happen. Okay, good. Anyway.
I can hear you now. Okay. Thank you, Dev. We appreciate some audio feedback.
Yeah. I've talked to you. Have I talked to any of...
To everybody, if you can.
Oh, I'm going to. That's the plan. Us has some fun.
It's absolutely like one of those, like, if you're familiar with BG3, this is the same sort of mechanic.
Yeah. Believe that help is already on the way. The queen will not leave us to die. Stout old man in a fuzzy gray beard mumbles a prayer. He looks tired, as everyone else in the tavern, but determination is stamped on his haggard face. What can I do for you? Who are you? Vizali Wraithmus? Vizali? Rector of the local temple of Abadar? The temple is gone. Abadar. The temple is gone, and you snooze here much longer, the whole city will be lost as well. Who's the boy with you? This one? Kaido the shepherd, my apprentice. He's a smart boy. Faith is strong. He serves Aristil, though, but still, there's something Arastil. Learn from an old servant of Abadar. He'll be a great cleric when he gets a little older. Kind of help can I expect from you? First, I sell scrolls. I have lots of them. Something for every emergency. Second, while you're here in the tavern, I can read one for you. Guaranteed no surprises, but you better not go into the city without a cleric. I won't be going there myself. I'm too old. My powers are needed here. How many scrolls you're selling?
It's basically your scroll vendor. Also sells magical reagents.
Bulk selling. Deal.
Abadar is the god of banking, finance, and capitalism, but he's also the god of public services, making sure that the public has access to basic, things that they need.
Interesting.
They have a way of, organizing towns and making sure towns, have public services. So, there's some downsides, but there's also some upsides. He may be the god of capitalism, but he's also the god of towns making sure that they're actually taking care of their people, because people with money spend money and save money. people who do not have money, are desperate, do not spend money.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of a interesting way of looking at it, and that's the way the followers of Abadar look at things.
I believe I've already talked to Nivea. Yes.
Looks like it. You notice they're all grayed out, meaning you've done all those options.
Lan greets you with a nod. Here for a chat. I've been waiting for you to come home and see what strange beast you've taken into the party. Thank you for your answer so long.
A little bit of self-deppy going on there, but yeah. He knows what he's about.
One sec.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's I got a text and I kind of waiting on something from work, so I was just like, oh well.
Why would they be sending you anything on the 4th of July?
I don't know, fucking know. Because it's food service.
And
there are no boundaries in food service.
I'm sorry, but I don't care what industry it is, it needs to have boundaries.
I mean, to be fair, I specifically have asked questions of my boss. The game does have really good writing.
Mm-hmm, it does. I think most of the Pathfinder adventure paths are very well written, and I don't think they get enough appreciation for how well written they are.
Let me guess.
I think the game does the computer game does a good job of, encapsulating a lot of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me guess. Your first question is, can you wear a hat with your one horn? And am I right? You speak Common much better than the rest of your tribe. Funny enough, Common isn't all that common underground. But your operation is correct. I used to live on the surface with my parents for a while, and I had a chance to learn a couple things. The language, the fact that every peasant who sees my scaly mug screams demon and runs away. I don't know if you're interested, but my mom wasn't from the underground tribe. She was a smuggler, the kind that used the dungeons of KatNBows to secretly move and store goods. One time, two gangs couldn't agree on how to share a prime cut, got into a fight, and the winners threw the losers down a hole, dead and living alike. My dad went to check out if the corpses had anything useful on them, and he found a girl from the surface, barely clinging to life, an incredible feeling sparked between them, or maybe the girl just liked men with scales and a cat nose. That might be it. One way or another, he got her back on her feet, and later he left his home cave. She left her smuggling behind, and they began an honest life together. That delightful story is how old land came into the world. The next chapter, however, my family and I never stayed in one place for long. We lived sometimes on the surface, sometimes underground. We couldn't find a place to call home. Living in the caves was hard on my mom. My dad's parents raised too many questions in Mendev. They're at war against the demons, after all. And in the end, my parents decided to stop making each other miserable and separated. My father and I returned to our tribe, thinking the peasants screaming demon had something to do with it, or maybe my dad just couldn't stand a life without rat tail soup. I wouldn't rule out the possibility. Did you come with me so you could see the surface again? No, that wasn't it. I just don't have much patience for certain types of creatures. Demons, I mean. And I want to just... If they want to destroy KatNBows, I'll be on the side of the people that they're attacking. Lan, my companion, and companions should trust each other. I'm counting on you to give me honest answers, no excuses. I guess you're right. I shouldn't have to be so evasive. It's just some things are hard to talk about. My family, for example. My birth, hell take me. It turned out to be a great misfortune for my parents, all because I'm relatively healthy. The best thing that I think that can come between a marriage between a cave-dwelling mongrel and anyone from the surface, a healthy child with the right number of hands and feet, no apparent defects, no missing organs or other problems. They saw hope in me, and so they risked having more children. They thought it would somehow be all right. A growl edges in Lan's voice. I could have had 4 brothers. The first were born 2 years after me, died 3 years later. He didn't have a nose, nothing even remotely resembling one. He could only breathe through his mouth. Mom and Dad were afraid to take their eyes off of him, fear he'd choke and suffocate on something, but in the end, it was his weak heart that killed him. Then there was another pregnancy and birth, and I pretended I was sleeping, but I snuck out of my bedroom and listened under the door all those hours. It was very strange, but I never heard a newborn screaming, mom moaning, yes, priest praying. And then I dared to open the door a little look inside. The priest stood there, very pale. One of them was holding something, a small object that fits into his palm. He asked, "Do you know what this is?" "I think it's a head." "Please, enough, you don't have to go on if it hurts you." "Hell no, I started to tell you I'll make it to the end. You want to know why I followed you to the surface? Well, here's the reason. It turned out that this time the mom was expecting triplets. The first baby was born in pieces. The other two didn't live long enough to draw their first breath. After 3 weeks later, my father took me to the caves. He didn't want to leave. I could see it in his face, but I think my mom and he had decided it together. The curse of my people have carried since the first crusade stood between them, not to mention the 4 dead babies. At an old age, was rapidly taking a toll on my father. After we turned to the cave, he only lived for another 4 years. I liked Lan, I liked his arc, yeah. So you're asking me why I decided to go up to the surface and join the Crusaders? Well, the answer is I've always wanted to. I was afraid to leave my tribe, but it's always haunted me that I'd die in a world where 4 crusades could do nothing to stop the beasts of the abyss, and the number of victims kept growing. I want to change that, or at least try to. And if changing things is too much to ask, at least I'll get a little revenge. The ones who are behind the world wound owe me a great debt. The lives of 4 brothers, my mother's tears, my father's broken heart. It's a lot. It's so much killing of a couple demons won't do it for me. I want to do something real, and I'm ready to pay any price. Call it my personal crusade if you like. Lan gives you a slanted grin. I used to think that things would be better if I was never born, but now that I think I was born for this, to settle the score. Why didn't you join up the crusades? Into the crusades before? I couldn't just abandon my tribe. I'm their best hunter. They'll have much harder without me, but now the demons have nearly destroyed Canabras. And the caves have almost collapsed on our heads. The sitting and waiting, it just wasn't an option anymore. Anyway, I'm more useful up here than I am down there. Plus, the chief let me go, which means my debt to the tribe has been paid. Would you like to find your mother? No. The word flies from Lan's mouth faster than an arrow, then a pause. He continues, I don't want to meet her, not because of any resentment. It's just she's a half-elf. She barely got... It
feels kind of resentful.
Yeah. She's barely got her first gray hair, and I'll be a ramshackle old man. She's buried enough children. There's no need to make her witness death of another one. I hope you understand. I'm truly sorry. Well, I'm very lucky. I met someone not only to help me choose the right path, but happy to listen to my whining. Your parents loved and survived hardship, but it doesn't mean the same thing will happen to you. What if you find true love, someone who will love you, won't leave you no matter what? And
You just flirted.
And break my beloved's heart when I die 5 years later. That's a fine thing to do to the person you love. Then again, there's a chance I'll inspire some tragic bard to write some try to tearful ballad. Thanks for sharing, Lan. Mongrels have such short lifespans. We don't like you're getting old or dying. How old are you? I'm as old as I look. No surprises there. But remember Soul? He's 10 years older than me. I remember him back when he was a fearless warrior. Day by day, I watched him turn into an old man. Him and my father. It happens very quickly. If this was all Wrath of the Righteous I would have finished it. Unfortunately, the combat. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about the combat. The combat, they have a system in place that you can sit there and modify the difficulty until you reach a point where you're happy and comfortable with it. And I want to like make this point and encourage people to use that system to adjust the difficulty to get you to a point where you're happy you're playing the game. There's this desire that a lot of gamers have. It's like, I have to play it on the hardest difficulty. I'm just like, okay, but like maybe experience the story first, maybe do story mode. This game really caters to like a really hardcore crowd. So there's a lot of people who come at this and just get absolutely overwhelmed by the combat system. And I'm just like, guys, just turn the difficulty down.
Thank you for the follow,
Turn the
Lord
difficulty down.
Abbott.
Oh.
Ow.
It's an owl. It's an owl.
Why give me the hammer? That hurt. Did the second one go through? Oh.
Any cooldown on that at all?
Maybe not. I don't know. Let's see. Egg. But welcome in. There's your gib treat. Thank you for egg. And how dare you for hammer? How dare you, bonk?
Bonk, bonk, bonk.
Happens very quickly. First you miss a shot because you didn't see the target clearly as you used to. You think it's because your eyes are tired. You tell yourself you'll get better tomorrow. Then you notice you're having trouble breathing. The climbing is harder before. I am doing good. How are you? Then you notice you're having trouble breathing. Unclenches his human fist. Then your fingers stop bending. You have to tie your sword to your hand. You can't even put greaves on without help. When you're washing your face in a stream, sometimes you catch a sight of gray-haired, wrinkled old man you didn't recognize, and then this goes on until one day you come across a cave beast you realized you can't outrun. My dad kept diaries marking all the signs, and I saw it too. Last year I helped him get out of bed, let him dress, reminded him to eat. Sometimes he forgot my name. I told him that we should have stayed on the surface. He joked dodging a goddess was behavior unworthy of a crusader. He meant Pharasma. Every morning I wake up, check how I feel, but there are no signs yet. Even so, I don't have much time. I need to do something useful before I forget why I came here.
Pharasma is the goddess of judgment. Essentially, when you die, instead you go to a place of judgment where Pharasma decides where you will go. Will you go to, one of 3 different heavens? Will you go to, one of several different hells?
Gotcha.
Or maybe somewhere else. Pharasma's interesting and creative, and she's very big on the punishment needs to sort of fit the crime, whatever the crime is of your life, whatever you did. She basically tries to find the best place for you.
Girls, I am in a predicament. The cat is insisting sitting on my lap. Should I heed her argument? Of course. Obviously. You obviously let the cat sit in the lap. It's very important.
Gibby. As if I'm going to disagree with Gibby.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think I am, a monster?
Yeah. I want to talk about Windwog. Are you sure? All right. Tell me about your connection to Windwog. My connections? I mean, where to start? Lantern's an unexpressive reptile, half his face to you. We grew up together, trained together. She was the chief's daughter. She was groomed to be the best all her life, and then I came along. We were rivals, but we dragged each other out of tight spots too. I've always been drawn to grand, heroic gestures, sometimes idiotic ones, whereas when do I like to roam unexplored passages, finding new caves and making maps. She wanted to be a great huntress, the one who'd make it through the shield maze, but instead she... Be better if she died. The death of a friend is painful, but watching a friend become a shadow of her former self, it's unbearable. She doesn't think she's a shadow of her former self. Of course, she thinks she did everything right. But because the second she starts to doubt herself, she'll have to face the truth. To admit that she's just a cannibal, that demons use her as they wish. Lan's frown looks almost like a wince. She wants to get stronger and stronger, but for what? I don't understand what drives her. Were you just friends, or were you more than that? Wow, you really don't pull your punches, do you? Lan exhales loudly. There was a time when I asked myself the same question. Wonderdog knew me better than anyone. She understood me better than anyone. She was my first woman, but we never loved each other. Maybe I could have grown to love her, but I always seemed like she never understood what love was. Maybe she just wasn't capable of those kinds of feelings. That's too bad for you when Wendog didn't work out, but there are plenty other women around you might like me, for example. I guess there's...
You keep flirting with the guy.
I guess there's nothing else to say about that. No. I am Lubian. I will not... Oh, the other one was not as open as a flirt, so I said it. Thanks, I found everything out I wanted to know. So can you wear a hat with one horn? Sure I can, but certain designs don't suit me too well. Speaks in a dead serious voice. I don't want to have to click through this, but... Cool.
If you've already done the conversation, there's no reason you can't just click through it.
Yeah. I found out everything I wanted to know. Thank you. Sure thing. Tell me about your people. Of course, would you like to know? What's it like living in the caves? Oh! Lan gives you a broad smile. His smile is strange, but it falters as... Blah, 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 blah. His smile is strange as it falters where his human features meet the animal ones. Imagine that entire world of only a few hundred like you. There's not an inch of fertile ground anywhere. Nowhere to grow grain for bread or cotton for linen for cloth. Your neighbors are beasts and they want to eat you, or parasites who want to infect you with their larvae and then eat you. Where's my back?
You okay?
Give me one sec. Can you,
Self-care.
Yeah. Entertain the crowd. I'll be right back.
All right. Sometimes at the risk of getting poisoned, sometimes with almost no risk at all, in the worst years, there's not a single living thing anywhere to be found, predator or prey. That's when you eat mushroom soup. I'd say 3 times a day, but there was barely enough for once every 3 days. But life underground has its upsides, pun intended. There's no risk of losing the roof over your head. There's no bad weather. Not counting earthquakes, of course.
All right.
How do I need to start, like, redeeming the posture check?
I have grabbed another pillow because my back was feeling weird, so I'm giving it more to rest against.
I want you to self-care.
I am. And thank you for the hide weight.
Yay!
Are you really descendants of the first Crusaders?
More like demon spawn, aren't we? Sad, but true. Without the demons, there would be no mongrels. It's the magic of the world wound that affected our ancestors and made their children the way we are. Like most in our tribe, Chief Sol fancies himself a descendant of the underground Crusaders, the ones our heroic ancestors left to guard the caves. I don't know if it's true or not. The angel came to our caves for a reason. Maybe he remembered us. Those were evil and dangerous times after the First Crusade. Hundreds of crusaders began having children. Babies were born with fangs and horns and warts that covered half their face. People didn't like the new look. The Inquisitors sure didn't. So our ancestors fled persecution and made a home for themselves down here underground. They probably intended to find a cure for their children, hoped they would return in time, but it never happened. Instead, the World Wound's terrible legacy was passed down from generation to generation. Mongrel parents can only guess what their child will look like. Each of us is born with a new mutation. Many are fatal. Down in the caves, we usually don't congratulate the family for the birth of a child until they turn at least 3. Maybe don't even get a name before that. There's no point.
God, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Under fucking standable, but Jesus. God, that's just a poignant way to put that. Yeah, we don't name the children.
There's no point.
Yeah, God. Can you play a mongrel in 2E? Is that a ancestry path you can take?
I will look.
That would be
Give me a
interesting.
moment. Give me a moment. I'm gonna go look.
It has been long since the First Crusade. Why do you know so little about your ancestors? Our lives are much shorter than most Uplanders. Up here, only a few generations passed, and many still live to remember the old Sarkenros. The lost Keld realm of Sarkoris was a savage land fiercely painted warriors, shamans, druids established in 3672, a few years before the prophesied return of Eridan. Stirring and demonic cults began there. Sakura strange mystics made grim predictions of the nation's fall. However, the people were most confident that Eridan's return would directly lead to the final end of these cults. Unfortunately, the mystics were proven correct. The death of Eridan in 4606 saw the appearance of the World Wound, gaping gateway to the abyss in the heart of Sakuras. The nearby city of Iz was the first fall of the demon forces. At first, it seemed... Eyes. First, it seems that there was a chance to stop the invasion, but 4638, the World Wound abruptly expanded. The rest of the clan hold soon fell. The very land became warped and twisted, and the demons continued to spew forth from the World Wound. The Church of Iamade declared the Mendavian Crusades in order to drive back the demons. However, whilst they had been somewhat successful at containing the threat, Sakuras itself remains firmly under demonic control. And many who live just remember the old Sakuras. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
As it stood untouched by the demons. Queen Galfrey, for example. But where we live, mongrels started getting old much earlier, as humans must faster and more devastating consequences. Few live past 40, and fewer still live long enough to die of old age. Hunger, disease, and monsters are deeply more effective killers than time. Did you find a mongrel ancestry?
Paizo sources variously use the terms mongrel men and mongrel folk interchangeable. A few also just use the term mongrels. Paizo prefers the term mongrel folk. Mongrel, if you're trying to be mean to them, or preferably mongrel folks, are the words we use for them. They don't really have a name they use for themselves as an ancestry, but might have individual names for groups or families or clans of nations. But yeah, we've pretty much abandoned the outdated suffix of man for all of our ancestries. And no, that's not up for public vote. Osnagron from Paizo said that.
Cool.
They were published in the Tome of Horrors Complete, designed for Pathfinder 1st Edition. The mechanics were used in the Pathfinder role-playing game under the OpenGL license. 2nd Edition Remaster Project changed the license, and the canon existence or properties of mongrel folk in the Pathfinder campaign setting after the remaster are unknown. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not actually seeing it in 2nd Edition.
Mm-hmm.
But see, here's the thing. Wrath of the Righteous, the game, the video game that we're playing, it is first edition, and it's based on an adventure path, Wrath of the Righteous, which was first edition. So it's like all of this stuff is references to that adventure path.
Yeah. No, sure.
It sounds like they didn't continue it in second edition because there's obviously issues with the naming convention. They're trying to like see if we can make it less racist, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there is something to be said about as long as racism is portrayed in a sensitive manner, it's not inherently bad to have in your games, you know? But I understand and enjoy that some fantasy games and the systems like Pathfinder are taking a step away from it. You know, because it's not always necessary.
I mean, I understand what the point was, that it's like,
yeah,
as long as the message that you are sending is that racism is bad, I'm on board.
Yeah.
The minute you start saying something like racism is an inevitable part of human condition, then you lose me.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I think, to a certain degree, Paizo is one of these organizations that's smart enough that not only do they not want to be assholes, but they also look at the stuff that Wizards of the Coast does and says, we don't want to be that.
No, for sure. All right, I think that's better. Do you want to read the Queen Galfrey thing?
Oh, Queen Galfrey is the absolute monarch of the Crusader state of Mendev and the leader of the Mendevian Crusades. While today the name of the Crusader Queen is known throughout the Inner Sea region, it's easy to forget that Galfrey did not start her rule of Mendev as a paladin of Iomade, but rather of Aridin. When the World Wound opened and forever changed Mendev, Galfrey was still an untested young ruler who was forced to deal with the death of her god while simultaneously rallying her nation against the abyssal threat to the west. She rose to the challenge, however, and her leadership was instrumental over the next several years, not only in protecting Mendev from demonic invasions, but also in holding the border against the World Wound. When the Church of Iomade first organized the First Crusade, it joined forces with Mendev to push back the demon armies. During these battles, Galfrey, time and time again, distinguished herself with a keen grasp of tactics and skill at leadership. But this inspiration went both ways. In the Church of Iomade, Galfrey found something to replace her lost faith. By the time of the First Crusade...
Lesbians?
By the time the...
Sorry. Found something to replace her faith. Women.
I think she's bi. Yeah. Anyway, but this inspiration went both ways. In the Church of Iomade, Galfrey found something to replace her lost faith. By the time the First Crusade ended, with the apparent defeat of the demon armies, Galfrey had converted and become the worshipper of Iomade and had completely retrained herself as one of the inheritors' most devout paladins. Eager to retain such a valuable leader at the head of the Crusades, the Church of Iomade twice purchased and presented the Queen an expensive Sun Orchid elixir, which extends mortal life beyond its unusual span. Thanks to this boon, the Queen has lived and led the Crusaders for more than a century.
Damn, that's pretty gay.
Yeah. The immortal warrior queen.
Yeah. So for us, the story of the First Crusade is a legend that happened generations ago. There are no living witnesses. We have a tale of wise and great ancestors who left us to stand guard in the catacombs, but in reality, I suspect they were desperate wretches who couldn't figure out how to dispel the demonic plague, who were abandoned by their own kind. Do you have a way to tell day and night? You can't seem to see the sun in your caves. Every Mongol settlement has a big gong, and we treat as a relic. The gong keeper hits it twice a day and to mark the beginning and end. But this custom doesn't keep time very precisely. Every Mongol child has snuck up to the gong and to strike it the wrong time at least once out of pure mischief. Nothing could keep me away from it, not even the fact that I only have one ear, which means I would take double the punishment once I got caught. So sometimes the wrong strikes get mixed in with the right ones, and the tribe can find itself jumping up to greet the morning in the middle of the night. That's amazing. Do the mongrel tribes fight each other? There were some skirmishes. I've been forced to kill my kinfolk before, too. Lan speaks in a steady voice. Fights mostly break out over food. We have laws in the caves, written and unwritten rules we follow. We respect the other's rights to live, but hunger can push a person over the edge. I've never, and you can count on it, stolen someone else's kill. But I can understand those of my kin who have tried. To hear your kids begging for food and not to be able to feed them is terrifying. He frowns and goes silent. You're the only member of the Nephilim tribe that your people call Mongols. Why is that? Because all of the Galarian calls us that. I don't see the point of hemming and hawing over what we're called. Anyone who finds it offensive takes issue with it can lead the charge against the name. No one's stopping them, but personally I'm going to pick a fight over something more as unimportant as a name. Thanks, I found out everything I wanted to know. What do you think of life on the surface? It must be very different from life underground. Of course, as far as living conditions, the surface is definitely a better place to be. It's easy to get food and water, not to mention build a house or even grow a few things. In older, well-established settlements, you don't have to deal with anything scarier than rats, or maybe foxes stealing chickens. Hey, that's offensive. Has the chicken drumstick in my mouth. Hey, that's offensive. Chicken is delicious, though.
Yes, it is. If it's done well.
Right? As long as it's not cooked by white people. As for the kind of lives you have, I've heard stories of demon worshippers abducting whole families and sacrificing them one by one while others watched. But there were some brave crusaders and knights lived by, and they killed off the villains and saved everyone. I've heard another story, a young blacksmith who lost his arm in a fire, couldn't work to feed his wife and baby. They tried their best and lived hand to mouth, but they were still destitute. In the end, the desperate blacksmith robbed a traveler one night on the road, but there were some brave crusaders knights nearby, and they caught the robber and threw him in prison. Not long after, his wife smothered her baby and hanged herself. Up here, the same person can proudly say he's protecting the innocent from demons and look the other way while the same innocent starves just because they were born into a poor family. Queen Galfrey prolongs her life with sun-orcharded lissers that cost enough to feed an entire city. Back in our caves, everyone was equally poor, and if one person starves, the whole tribe starves. We don't abandon our own in times of trouble. That's the power of the tribe. The laws of the surface are made so that some get everything and others get nothing. I might just be a naive fool from the caves, but I understand how it's possible to have so much and more and share so much less. Anyway, look who I'm talking to. You know life on the surface better than anyone. I'd never leave a needy person in trouble. I've given more than most, which means now I'm more able to help others. We're in a struggle for very survival against the snow pen up on quest of Faraday. Yeah, good.
And this is why I like Lan.
Yeah. He's a communist.
Yeah, he's a communist. Plain and simple.
I mean, I see a lot of similarities to, like, the mongrels to the black community in America, you know, like...
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, native tribes. Probably native is probably more accurate description. Because that... I mean, not that black cultures don't have that culture of sharing, but I'm not as but I know that is very like prevalent in native culture. Is like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Obviously, they're not direct parallels,
no, of
but
course not.
Paizo does not stray away from taking ideas from the real world and creating an equivalent.
Yeah,
And then using that as a way to tell stories that say things about the real world.
a fitting reply. Don't take my words as a reproach. I like grumbling as much as cracking jokes. Lan obviously trying to muster a friendly smile, but its expression in his face doesn't accommodate very naturally. You say you were prepared to risk your life to do something meaningful. What exactly did you mean? To invent a new salad and have it named after me. Clan remarks grimly. Then he sighs. Truth be told, I don't know. It would have been much easier if all I wanted to kill was demons, then a few more demons, then a few more demons after that. Good honest range and no need of brooding. I think I've actually envy the warriors that can live like that. Fucking same. But I can't. If life taught me anything, that there are no easy choices. Dying a glorious death isn't enough. Some heroes of the Crusades did that and saved their entire settlements, erected ward stones. Their actions kept the lands of Mendev safe for decades. That's what I want, for my dumb short life to have something, to mean something.
Could have meant something. And yeah, fucking mood.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand that feeling. It's like,
Especially
as a trans
when,
person, it's like it would be nice to know that our lives have some meaning.
yeah. This I'm reminded of the Mongol folk also having a connection to the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You know, Japan.
Ooh. Yeah.
Of like the levels of death that community faced because of the horrific act of us dropping bombs on them. You know, nuclear
Yeah.
weapons. And that mutation. That's also very apt of like I don't know, I wouldn't say their culture is connected to Japanese culture very much, but like the sentiment of a people who are deformed and have been for centuries is a very similar sentiment to what happened to that people.
The fallout of a war leaving
Yeah.
a group of people scarred for years and centuries to come.
Yeah. You think I have an exaggerated opinion of myself? Some scaly freak crawls out of the cave and wants to take control of the ward stones and flaunt Ayamede's banner. Any fool can charge the front lines of a demonic armies
Demonic.
and die there. What's good will they do? I want something meaningful, you know? Even if I have to pay the highest price, especially if I have to pay it. There are plenty worthier people who need to survive this war and tell everyone else what nutcases we were. That's such a weird way to end this conversation. Well, thanks. Because this has been such a serious conversation. I want to give Lan a hug.
Me too. And to think it's like you missed out on this conversation in your first playthrough.
I mean, I didn't get further than this tavern in my first playthrough. It's so I have some like weird feelings around incredibly long text boxes in video games.
BG3 has the advantage that it is fully voice acted, which this is not fully.
Yeah, imagine listening to all of that and being like, you don't belong here. Goodbye. Yeah. Hi, Shroom Poof. Yeah, what a horrible, awful thing to do to Lan.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
trauma info dumps at you, and you're just like, well, I don't want you here anymore. I'm a horrible person.
yeah.
Welcome in. Nice to see you. But as I was saying, like, I love reading. I, when I have the spoons and, like, I will tear through novels, specifically romance novels, because that's the kind of bitch I am, in, like, 3 days. But, like, there's something, like, the presentation of, like, okay, it's just the book, and this is my reading, and things like that. That's an adorable fucking emote. I love that.
It is.
But like when it's interplayed with gameplay, it's a little weird, Like, I think it would be easier to read for me, at least on my own time, when I'm not like reading to an audience, maybe, and like performing. To like take this as a book, kind of thing. But like, I don't know. I have that ADHD itch to get to the gameplay sometimes, and struggle to sit here and read a bunch of things. I mean, it's great writing, unironic, like, and it's not like I'm bored by it, but it's like left to my own devices, I sometimes do stupid things, and like can't keep my attention span, which is dumb, but
I'd say that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
See, I'm also a book nerd, and so
Yeah.
for me, sitting down and reading all of this is great for me. But I'll understand if it's not for everybody.
That's the thing that is like confusing. Is like I am enjoying myself thoroughly, and I don't mind sitting here for an hour, taking a little pause each between every time something reminds me of something or bringing up literary devices. Like that shit is great. And also having someone to do that with makes this a lot easier for me.
Which is actually kind of why I suggested it's like, hey, what if I just kept you company while you play the game? I don't really think you need a whole lot of like gameplay advice from me.
No.
You've got a pretty good idea. If anything, I get to lore dump about Pathfinder lore and hyperfixate about, weird random Pathfinder crap. Like the Lily of the Sun thing, the elixir that's super expensive that they use to prolong the queen's life, comes from the region of Tian Sha. If you remember the playthrough of Ruby Phoenix that Dice Will Roll did, they actually found those trees towards the end.
Yeah. I had the opposite problem where I bounced off this game at first because combat was getting in the way of reading and RPing. That's super fair.
Yeah. And that's one of those cases where it's like, if you like are very careful about your difficulty settings and set it to a place that's good for you and makes you happy, then it's like you don't bounce off the combat as much.
Yeah, it's not so much that I want to get to the combat. It's just like when I am it's so weird because it's just like the weird way the structure of this makes it harder for me to just like fully engross myself into the RP stuff of it. I almost got to the end, but combat got so sloggy. Yeah, that's fair.
Admittedly, there are some very long dungeons later.
2E is much better combat than 1E.
Oh, absolutely. Like, the 3 action system
is so cool.
As opposed to the, action, bonus action, reaction type system, move action. Like, you have all of these different types of reaction. Is now just replaced with, you got 3 things you can do this turn. That just helps the action economy so much.
Yeah,
you get to actually decide what you're going to do with your 3 your 3 moves this turn. What are you gonna do? Instead of, since like you can only do 1 action and you can have a bonus action, you can move a little. It's just, I prefer 2E's combat system so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish someone would do a video game version of it, but nobody has so far.
I imagine that the studio is going to make one eventually. I hope they do. I don't. Have they talked at all about what they're working on right now? Like, when's the last time this studio released a video game?
Let me look it up.
An imposing young Orid surrounding a crowd of crusaders who are hanging on to her very word. I hope this example clearly illustrates the difference between Jiska legionnaires from the last war and the crusaders. The perfection of their form and spirit they imbued during creation turned them into parts of well-balanced war machines, not a ragtag bunch of individuals, but a united whole.
So Alcat's first thing was the Warhammer 40,000 universe set Rogue Trader games.
Mm-hmm.
Then they did Pathfinder Kingmaker, and that was their first like foray into Pathfinder. But the thing is, it was Kingmaker in first edition, and it focused more on like the kingdom building mechanic and was kind of. Then they did Wrath of the Righteous. Now they're working on something in the Expanse called Osiris Reborn. They're also like, there's another Warhammer game they're working on, Dark Heresy.
Gotcha.
So that's what they're working on now. As far as we know, they're not planning on doing any more like Pathfinder stuff, and that's kind of sad.
The Jiska Imperium was the first human kingdom to establish itself in the Inner Sea region after the centuries of darkness and devastation caused by the Earthfall. Its citizens spoke nearly forgotten languages called Jiska?
Jiska.
Whose alphabet became the basis of the alphabets of all modern language of Skald, Varsian, and Taldane. At its height, it's dominated all northwestern Garund and also parts of the southwestern Avestan. Raids of desert nomads attacked powerful outsiders from negative 3,300 onward. The lack of strong eastern trade routes led to the slow decline. Osiris.
Slow decline of Jiska, yeah. Osirian.
Then a burgeoning kingdom under the control of the powerful Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues pushed westward. It overthrew already weakened Jiska, and the Imperium was plunged into numerous succession wars around negative 2764, which it was never able to recover from its former political, military, and economic power. Because of this military and economic defeat, its important cultural, magical, and technological advances were largely lost and forgotten. Now tell me again what I'm supposed to be impressed by your reckless assaults when everyone is fighting their ego for the right to beat their peers, a swift but pointless heroic sacrifice. Looks we got ourselves a student of warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Grumble unhappily, but it's clear they're captivated by the woman's words. The only exception is a straggly, disheveled half-month whose puffy black eye gives away of a brawler and a troublemaker. He enthusiastically pushes forward and tries to engage, but his friends swiftly drops him in the back of the elbow, making the poor fellow catch his breath. The woman gives you a suspicious look and raises an eyebrow. Were your words meant to recognize my achievements, or start a fight in the way of Mendevian crusaders usually do? One of the crusaders angrily curls his fists tightly and retorts with a bust of passion. Those gists of yours, or whatever, had come for us. We'd have their guts for garters. You think we've never fought a mighty adversary before? The soldier's stern facade cannot conceal his relish. He clearly plans to enjoy this confrontation. The crusaders around him look upon their exotic appointment with a mixture of irritation and piqued interest. The woman chuckles before cutting off her interlocutor. I would love to see you storm a 60-foot-tall walking castle shaped like a gigantic elephant that carries siege fortifications on its back. And I'll have you know these fortifications were defended by just priest-crafted armies with demon-bound war machines. Yeah, we already read that. They used to be enemies. They used enemies you cannot defeat with as mindless weapons. The woman gives the people around her a triumphant look and adjusts her clothes and pointed to nonchalance. Her voice takes on a lecturer's tone. You should not argue with someone who happens to be the most authoritative researcher on the history of warfare 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. Insulting the Crusaders will cost you dearly now. The lecture is over. Do my esteemed listeners have any questions? Who are you? I am Inara, a warrior, magus, and scholar of classical warfare from Garund. Garund is the continent found south of Avestan, across the Inner Sea, in the west, Casmaron, from which separated the Oberai Ocean. During the late Age of Anguish and Age of Destiny, Central Garund was the hardest civilization in the hemisphere, and this legacy of arcane discovery remains today in the nations of Osiren, Nex, Nebutu, and Hulamog. Beyond the bastions of civilization, Garund is overrun by dangerous wilds and expansive deserts and impenetrable jungles. Appears to you. I admit that I am mildly offended by the fact that my name is entirely unfamiliar to you, but I'm willing to accept due to Avestan's isolation for sophisticated cultural world. You've come a long way to be here. I'd like to think of myself as an inhabitant of Galarian, but I don't narrowly define with any country in particular. Why did you come here? To witness the legendary war, the confrontation between denizens of a plain famous for its love of violence, and the crusade of every continent united its common goal, defending their home, an epic struggle of colossal proportions that haven't been particularly epic so far, truth be told. Maybe she just can't see it from here. The view will get more epic as she stops hiding among us and takes a walk outside. The woman smirks contemptuous. She does not deem the Wungsworth worthy of comment. It looks like you know more about warfare than any of us. Oh, am I hearing things, or did I finally someone acknowledge my competence in the art of warfare? Perhaps there are sufficiently open-minded persons among the Crusaders after all. I find myself pleasantly surprised. Why don't you join the Crusade and show them how fighting should be done? No, I am a historian, an analyst, and a theorist. Do you know what these three words have in common? They describe a mortal woman who does not participate in the conflict upon which her thesis will be founded. But then again, I will hardly be able to describe this mess as anything other than a feeble likeness to the last war of Tiscara. The more dangerous upcoming scuffle is, the more motivated we are to find a clever and pretty words to justify to not actually do the fighting. What is this last war you mentioned? The last war of Tiscara, of course. A large-scale conflict that took place in the 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. Its war against Osiren Pharaoh of the Forgotten Plagues, the war that ended the legendary Tiscara Imperium, and an epic struggle that became the most vibrant page in military history. Alas, all those conflicts followed, but a pale shadow, including the one I'm witnessing here. Why do you find it so inspiring? Imagine legions of golems imbued by extraplanar spirits marching into battle. Imagine flying cities that swoop out of the clouds. It's like terrifying, monstrous birds of prey to drop forces on the top of enemy castles. Picturing gigantic mechanisms powered by captive and very angry demons and devils. Imagine standing in a warpath of walking citadels, or having to cover your ears to block out the sound of cannons and shrieking elementals. Finally, imagine the ultimate weapon defeated by the Jiska, the deadly night plague. The affliction was an attack dog, a trained epidemic, a tamed pestilence, striking only those who its master wanted to kill. Imagine these terrors and understand that no flight of fancy can even come close to the horror of the nightmares that made it real. How do you know much about the war? I can say that without false modesty, there is no more authoritative researcher. when it comes to the history and welfare of 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalon. I've taken my whole life to the subject. I recently visited the old battlefield and studied the most mysterious and forbidden archives containing the chronicles of ancient wars, sometimes risking my life in the process. I saw a fallen sky city of Shoni Empire with my own eyes. I ripped out the control crystal from Exterminator class combat golem that guarded a laboratory with my own hands. These fingers held a glass flask that the servants of the Pharaoh Forgotten Plagues used to create the first generation of pestilence that devastated Jaskira Imperium. How do I know so much? I saw and touched everything that I'm telling you about. You're wrong to treat the Crusaders with such disdain. How do we feel about that?
I mean, do you want to get into an argument with somebody who's very much, rah Jiska Imperium, which is dead now, by the way?
Yeah.
I need to do a BR back.
Yeah, I also need to run an ad break, so I'm going to do so.
Okay. I need to do a self-care. Be right back.
Burp. welcome back, everyone.
Oh,
We don't have time for idle chit-chat. I'm not bickering in a dirty tavern at the height. It's not like bickering in a dirty tavern is the height of my aspirations. Then why are you doing it?
yeah, then why are you doing it?
Like, this is entirely your construction.
No, it's like, that's what you're doing, though. Like,
Can you take this one?
a tall and athletic man greets you, his hair prematurely gray and shorn close to his head in a military style. He's lean and well-groomed, and his monocle twinkles coldly in his eye. The bold set of his jaw and his large but agile frame attest that here is a man who is ready to be on the move. Greetings, I am Hilor, venture captain of the Pathfinder Society. I am the superior officer among the Pathfinders in this region of Mendeb. However, the Society is running almost no operations here right now. Besides me, there are almost no Pathfinders here. Actually, I'm only stuck here because of a feud with a demon worshiper known as Spinner of Nightmares. I've had to work alone without the support of the Society, but I've made a lot of acquaintances among the local mercenaries and daring fighters. If you have need of good fighters for an honest cause, talk to me. Okay, this guy allows you to hire mercenaries who are characters that you can fully customize.
Oh, cool.
Essentially,
This is how you're making your RP characters.
the like not the main character, but
Yeah.
like on my playthrough, I was playing Veshka, but I had Vesic. This is how I hired him.
Cool. Tell him about your confrontation with the Spinner of Nightmares.
It all began with a task of the Pathfinder Society. I arrived in Nerosia with my team to investigate the sudden death of a famous crusader, Baron Falron. We soon focused in on a small hospital for the wealthy where Falron was being treated shortly before his death. It turned out a gang of Baphomet's cultists, calling them the Labyrinth of Mind, had gotten a foothold at the hospital. They were obsessed with twisting the minds of their victims and targeted fragile people too weak to resist. The hospital was filled with perfect victims, isolated for weeks from the outside world, completely helpless, and when they returned, they were different, almost normal, but the moment they heard a certain phrase, something dark awoke in their mind, and they transformed into servants of Baphomet, ready to lie, betray, and even kill. The Labyrinth of Mind was preparing to infiltrate all the elite circles of Mendev, but Baron Falron stopped them. He was too loyal to his oath, too resistant to their spells. He fought for his freedom until the strain broke his heart. We opened and cleaned the city of Baphomet's pit of vipers. Their den was a cradle of sin and filth. They cast spells on each other. Their loathsome fantasies stepped real from their minds into the world. They dreamt of horrible and forbidden things, and they fought like mad. We burned the place to the ground, slaughtered everyone we could, but the leader of their cult was able to flee, and they were set upon revenge. They abducted my daughter, who's served under my command in the Pathfinder Society. They left me a note full of tart insults, mockery, and sneers. From that note, I learned the name of my enemy, Spinner of Nightmares. A few months later, I confirmed that she was the leader of the Labyrinth of the Mind. My hunt had begun. I would get Lori back at any cost.
I want to know more about you.
What exactly you're interested in? I'm a common Pathfinder. There are many others like me. Fate and my orders brought me to this land.
How did you end up here?
I was working on an assignment for the Pathfinder Society, and then a demon worshiper named Spinner of Nightmares abducted my daughter Lori. For the past 3 years, I've been trying to save her. During this time, I've become specialist in scouting demon territory. I have even planted agents among cultists. Truth be told, in pursuing the Spinner of Nightmares, I've been acting more on behalf of Queen Gallifrey than the Pathfinder Society. It's a long story, but maybe I'll tell you the rest of it some other time.
Tell me about your daughter. Is she cute?
As a girl, Lori was an angel. We lost her mother early on. She was left to follow my example. a drifter with little idea how to talk to a 10-year-old girl, but even such questionable parenting, Lori managed to grow into a wonderful girl, brave, smart, beautiful, and entirely unbearable. She's always argued with me about everything. When Lori was 18 and told me she was going to be a Pathfinder, all I could say was, all right. There was no use trying to talk her out of it. And she was a fine Pathfinder. I'll never forgive the Spinner of Nightmares for taking my girl from me.
Tell me about the Pathfinder Society.
Pathfinder Society is a global organization that unites opportunists and adventurers of all kinds. We explore the world and uncover its secrets, travel, and sometimes face down threats. In times of trouble, the latter becomes our primary focus. We're driven by curiosity, the desire to make the world a better place, and of course, seek profit or hunger for glory. Essentially, this game is a Pathfinder game, and the Pathfinder Society is often like where player characters get introduced to settings.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's pretty much what Hilor does.
Cool. The training thing, what does that do?
Okay. You want to hire an NPC? Use 3. If you want to retrain your character, respec your character, your main character, use 4.
Gotcha.
5 exits the conversation.
Good luck. Lesbians. Seela smiles at you, warm you. Hi there. During the march, the dungeon.
You can also retrain your existing companions.
During that march through the dungeon, we never got you a chance to properly exchange a proper greeting. It's a high time I shake your hand. I'd like to know more about you. Of course, ask me anything. I'll answer honestly. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? I'm a little bit from Geb, a little bit from KatNBows, but mostly from the Knights of Yamade. I was accepted and began my training at 14. I belong to their ranks more than I belong to any other place. You've come to Manded by a long road, haven't you? A very long one. Seela looks at you cheerfully. A traveler is expected to have amusing stories. Unfortunately, I have only 3 tales of any interest. I'd like to save them for our next feast. Otherwise, I won't have anything to show for myself when it's time to start bragging. And that just won't do. Especially since I'll win the night with my cautionary tale of my battle with chupacabras. You can't tell me with a story about fighting chupacabras and not follow through. What are the chupacabras, by the way? What a feast it will be, and then we'll talk when we celebrate our next victory. Incredibly repulsive, magical beasts, fast and dangerous. They can, well, it looks like someone fooled me into starting the tale. I guess I'll have to tell the whole story. Picture a small town of Kodara down in the dungeons. There are 2 murderers waiting to be executed. The gallows are already built for them. The rope's been bought, but sometimes life takes a surprising turn. Suddenly a paladin of Yamade appears in the doorway and the officers murdered the murderers a deal. If they go with her to fight some of the monsters, they'll live. If they survive, that is. Excuse me. The big difference is the imminent death and probable death will with a glimmer of help, wouldn't you say? So we are traveling through the desert, me and my friend, a priestess of Sarenrae, along with a little rat folk fellow who'd asked for our help, and the 2 cutthroats. We get to the rat folk village and see the bodies lying around all drained dry. We figured we'd be fighting vampires. That's how the little rat folks describe the monsters who attack their village. That's why we went in all brazen, like the sun and high, and the vampires couldn't attack us till dusk. But we never got our chance to look around. Black shadows, quick as wind, attacked us from all sides. Not vampires, but chupacabras. One of the lads was pulled from the gallows and got killed right away. The second ran for his life. That left me, the ratfolk, and Kira, that was the name of the priestess, and we all steeled ourselves to fight over our lives. And just when we thought the end had come, with the chupacabra surrounding me like a pack of dogs around a bear, our ratfolk friend, wounded and down, the teeth of one of the quickest of those blasted monsters clenched around Kira's shoulder. Right then, when all hope was lost, the other lad from the gallows suddenly comes running back. He kills the beast attacking Kira. I'm sure you know what a turning point in a fight looks like. Well, this was it. A moment before, when we were lost, a moment later we had it back under control. The Chupacabras dropped dead one by one. The rat folk reunited with his family. Those who were hiding in the basement. The priestess and I closed the eyes of that boy from the gallows who saved us. It was a shame he didn't survive the fight. May the gods keep his soul and journey throughout the afterlife. That's a good story. He could have died in disgrace on the gallows, and he said he died like a hero. I'd fancied that stunt earned him some points in his final judgment. I'm smart enough to remember our journey doesn't end in death. Had it not been for Milos, that was his name, we would be hanging from a noose, me and Kira, and all the rat folk would be dead in that village. Someone told me the kind of deed done by an unkind person is 100 times more precious. By the same token, an evil done by a noble soul is 100 times more terrifying. That's what I really wanted to say. The Jagabers are just a good starting point. What made you become a paladin of Iamade? Steela's gaze sharpens momentarily, then she sighs. That's a serious question, a good one. You should ask it of your companions, but it's a long story. To start with, 12 years ago, I was nothing like the person I am now. I roamed the streets of Soku with the other homeless orphans. I fought. I was a hired sword for a bit. Not the proper origin for a paladin, is it? Back then, Soku was a city of orphans, widows, and widowers. Gnolls decimated the city regularly. My parents were among their victims. People there heard of the new deaths before they finished mourning the previous losses. One day, a group of knights of Iamade brought a glimmer of hope to the city. But while others saw them as saviors and protectors, I was busy pricing up their noble horses and their gleaming mithril armor, wondering just how much pretty swords would fetch. A thief lives one day at a time, and that's what they say. I was the type who never thought past the next job. Anyhow, I was able to sneak past the knight's camp and steal one of their mithril helms. She pauses, her voice sad and measured, and I was right there when a gnoll attacked the helm's owner. Asimi was her name. It dealt a blow to her unprotected head. A gnoll, like all the others, she fearlessly driven from the goats of Soku. That blow was fatal, but who was really to blame for her death? No attacker of the young thief, Thila. I know what it takes to survive sometimes. I can't judge you. Even a seemingly small misdeed can have terrible consequences. Life is cruel and some full of chaos. Sometimes survival comes down to luck. I know.
So one of the things that I like about this game is the way it treats the chaotic option.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, the chaotic option is in fact just the down-to-earth practical one. And I like that. That's a good way of looking at chaotic. And it's sort of the way I look at like a chaotic character.
Mm-hmm.
They're down-to-earth, they're practical, and they're just sort of, they're rolling with the punches, you know?
Yeah. I know what it takes to survive. Sometimes I can't judge you. Well, I can. I believe everyone deserves a chance of redemption, but redemption means you understand what you did and you're willing to work harder on yourself from now on. But you're asking what brought me to the ranks of Iamade's warriors. We all choose a path for our own reasons. Some are guided by nobility and spirit, some by desire to fight injustice. I became who I am through penance and a debt unpaid. The day Asimi died protecting my city, I wanted to kill myself for a terrible guilt I felt, but then I realized I wouldn't be able to make the world better. I decided instead I'd take her place. I'd become the one I'd become who she had been and protect the innocents she would no longer be able to protect herself. What are the principles of the paladins Iamade follow? She smiles. I'd tell you, I'd like to recite the code. It feels like I've said it 1,000 times, but it never gets old. There is strength in these words. After a pause, she begins, her voice slow and meditative. I will learn the weight of my sword. Without my heart, to guide it, it is worthless. My strength is not in my sword, but in my heart. If I lose my sword, I have lost a tool. If I betray my heart, I have died. I like that. I will have faith in her, in the herder. I will channel her strength through my body. I will shine in her legion, and I will not tarnish her glory through base actions. I am the first into battle, and I'm the last to leave it. I will not be taken prisoner by my free will. I will not surrender those under my command. I will never abandon a companion, though I will honor sacrifice freely given. I will guard honor of my fellows, both thought and deed, and I will have faith in them. When in doubt, I will force my enemies to surrender, but I am responsible for their lives. I will never refuse a challenge from an equal. I will give honor to worthy enemies and contempt to the rest. I will suffer death before dishonor, and I will be temperate in my actions and moderate in my behavior, and I will strive to emulate Amadeus' perfection. Thank you. That's everything I wanted to know. I hope I didn't bore you. Ask me if something else you'd like. Erebeth said your friend Jenna and Dorit is missing. Do you know where we should look for her? Erebeth is worried about her fighters. I understand that, but I wanted to look for Jenna myself so I didn't distract you, but since you're into this, I could use some help. We met in KatNBows a few days ago and just hit it off. We were drinking together. We went to that unfathomable celebration together too, but we got separated in the crowd, so I'd start looking in the main square. That's where I last saw her. Jenna's a good fighter, even if she's green. She couldn't have become an Aldori otherwise. I hope that means she's alright. What do you think is going on in KatNBows? It's complete chaos. It's lucky we were here to handle it, right? She smiles brightly. She thinks she gives you a worried look. Does the way I talk bother you? I know I can seem blasé. Many good people and our protector Tillandil have died here in KatNBows. A paladin of Iomade is expected to be properly respectful and solemn. But I prefer to face my troubles with a smile and a bit of common sense. Grief is a weapon, and they'll use it against you. I can undermine the warrior spirit. It's better we hold off on grief until we've driven the last demon and cultist from the city. If we want to win, we can't be mourning our deceased day and night. Plus, the joy heals us. The wearer's wisdom and traditions of Wyndham and once should protect him. All mourners and appropriate merriment can defend the mourners. Many people's love. If we want to win, we can't be mourning our deceased day and night. Plus, the joy heals our soul. It's nice that when you and your companions think alive, she smiles. Think softly. You performed an action that's chaotic. Is fighting demons all you want, or are you looking for something more? How about converting myself to the glory and becoming a hero of 100 paladins, or at least a dozen, if they're lively ones? She smiles cheerfully. Anyway, to be more serious, the area of the World Wound is the best place for a paladin who wishes to defend the weak and serve the good. Being a part of the crusade is a word enough for me, but there's something that worries me. I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing my brothers in arms, but the Eagle's Watch and the other orders are focused on just one aim, the war against the World Wound. That's why they can sometimes overlook smaller things, ordinary misfortunes, you know? I always liked being a wandering knight because any moment I could get up and go help those poor rat folks with a family who had been kidnapped or an old woman whose favorite dog had gone missing. So here's my answer. I don't have some big important goal, but I'll be happy to help those who need it a little bit here and there. Thank you for speaking.
I love how eminently practical Sela is.
Yeah.
Also, big, strong woman.
All I want to do, see you turn into a giant
woman. Giant woman.
Alright. You want to read Erebeth for me?
Any success? How's the city?
There's a tiefling teen in Defender's Heart. What can you tell me about him?
Woljif is a petty thief from a gang of thieflings operating in KatNBows. That's what we call them in these parts. They tried to rob a vendor of magical items recently. Unfortunately, we only apprehended one of them, and the rest managed to escape. Yes, do a hydrate.
You do hydrate as well, Mitha.
1 second.
We're also
Done. I've also been reading. We have nowhere else to keep him apart from the Defender's Heart, but that's hardly a prison. Woljif knows it too. He's been begging us for days to let him go free and have someone vouch for him. He's already asked you to put in a good word for him, hasn't he? If you want to recruit Woljif, put him to good use, go ahead and take him off our guards' hands. We can ill afford to let a soldier spend their days watching over a middling thief. I hope the thiefling proves useful, should you decide to take him along.
What's our main objective?
You heard what the demons said. They're going to desecrate the Wardstone and blow up the whole barrier around the World Wound. That would be an even worse disaster than the World Wound's expansion before the Second Crusade. Not only Canabras, but every city with a Wardstone would be destroyed, including the capital. We can't allow that, no matter what. We will retake it, even destroy it if we must. Iomede's gift must not become a weapon of the Abyss.
These wardstones, what are they?
They are our greatest treasure. The shield given to us by Iomede herself and placed in Canabras and other Mendevian cities, and the fortresses by her herald. The chain of wardstones form a protective barrier that stops the expansion of the World Wound and keeps demons from moving beyond its borders. I shudder to think what will happen if that barrier falls.
Allow me to ask you a few personal questions. For instance, are you and your wife polyamorous?
Please. But I must warn you, there are some things I don't have the right to discuss.
Where are you from?
I was born in Canabras. I grew up on a farm just outside it, but on my way back home lay at the end of a long and winding road. It took me years of traveling through foreign lands before I came to where I belong.
She very much has the body of a farm-raised girl on lots of grain and big beefy woman raised on grain. That makes sense. How did you become a paladin?
Beefy woman. I don't like to remember it. Believe it or not, the story of how I became a paladin is also the story of how I failed to become a knight. My parents were crusaders. May their souls stand together in Iomede's celestial army. When I was born, they retired from the war and started preparing me to continue their legacy, but my father was an orc. He'd be pressed to find a calmer, wiser, and more pious servant of the goddess than he. But still, all his life he was dogged by sideways looks and whispers. When I grew older, it was time for me to serve. I decided anywhere but Canabras. That was where my father had served loyally, and his only reward had been injustice. Besides the witch hunters, led by the honorable prelate Hulrun, stalked the city with a heavy hand. Who knows what they'd done to a strange girl with green skin. Instead, I went to... You can laugh if you want, but I was young and foolish. I chose Lastwall of all places. You can imagine how well I was accepted in a country that had been battling the orcs of Belkazin since its foundation. There are many like me there. We were all treated as second-class citizens. To the locals, my green skin was worse than leper scabs, and even my brothers in faith kept their distance. I took my vows, and the goddess granted me the powers of a paladin, but even then, not a single order would accept me into their ranks. I spent another 6 months knocking on doors before I realized the simple truth. I serve Iomede, not these people. I don't have to prostrate myself before them, so I left. As a paladin, but not a knight.
That's cool as fuck.
Hardcore.
Hardcore lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what? Sorry, I just turned myself on.
I left Lastwall and went traveling. The goddess guided me, and my path led me to where atrocities were happening. I often fought in exchange for gold, but never for unworthy aims, of course. I wandered the river kingdoms for years, killing monsters and tracking down criminals. Sometimes I thought I was just wasting my time and that my true place was in Canabras. But I pushed those thoughts away. I didn't even want to think about going back, but in the end, divine providence had brought me to my senses. It happened in Timon. I was tracking a gang of bandits, which my employer suspected was a cover for Resmiran spies. I managed to find their lair, but inside I found something far more dangerous than spies, an unholy temple to Zon Kuthon. When I broke in there, the cultists were about to sacrifice someone, the person who was destined to become my wife, Anevia, but that's another story. After I cut down the cultists, I examined their papers and couldn't believe my eyes. A network of evil cults had spread through the lands of Avestan, including Mendev. Worse, the documents clearly show that their allies, the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth, had infested my native Canabras and were even among the ranks of the paladins. After that, delaying my homecoming would have been tantamount to desertion. I was no longer alone. Anevia was eager to destroy the cultists as I was.
You know, wives that murder together stay together.
Exactly. Anevia and I hurried to KatNBows. We couldn't trust anyone. The papers indicated the cultists had infiltrated everything. Luckily, I had some experience in investigation, and my beloved, she knew her way around working locks, tailing people, trading information within the city's bottom feeders. Soon we defeated, alas, not the whole Hydra, but a few of its heads. Do you know who turned out to be the leader of the cultists? The commander of the Eagle Watch. Can you imagine? While Prelate Holrun was chasing witches through the city, the enemy had infiltrated the very order responsible for their internal security. The scandal reached the ears of the Queen. At first, she planned to disband the order in disgrace, but she offered its command to me and put its salvation in my hands. Of course, there was one small catch. I wasn't a knight, but I was a commander just the same, skipping the usual progression through the ranks.
Or religion check passed. I can't imagine followers of Zoth Cthulhu in alliance with demon worshippers. Shouldn't they hate each other?
Zon Kuthon. They should, but Baphomet's minions are masters of deception. They manipulate Zon Kuthon's butchers as eagerly as Iomede's knights. The cultists from that unholy temple didn't know the true face of their associates in KatNBows. We ourselves learned the truth much later after getting to the bottom of their nest.
All right. How do the people of KatNBows feel about your background?
They tolerated it surprisingly well. I shouldn't have been so wary. Crusaders don't tend to be prejudiced as a rule. After all, heroes from all over the world, even other continents, come here to fight the demons. Apparently, the people were only suspicious of full-blooded orcs. There are already many like me here, and we don't have any problems. Though the locals still have their superstitions. Mendev is as merciless as Lastwall. They just have a different set of victims. I keep seeing those sideways looks and scowls, hearing familiar whispers, but where they once used to whisper behind my back and point at me, now they just whisper in my ear and point at someone else. It's so strange to be on the other side of the humiliation, to wipe the spit from your face and suddenly be invited to change position and spit at somebody else. You must have figured out by now that I'm talking about the tieflings. It's true there are many of them among the cultists and a few of our crusaders, and our fighters do all they can to drive away those who would be our allies. People shun them. They call them Rilu spawn, or worse, as if they chose to be born like that. I believe it's quite a feat to rise against the call of one's blood to join the forces of good. Still, most only see them as the enemy. I once saw a knight bleeding to death because he wouldn't let a tiefling priest touch his wound. Alas, I haven't been able to change this in my time in KatNBows.
Intersectionality!
Intersectionality, everybody! This is why I like Erebeth and Anevia. They are intersectional. They realize that, there are issues of, like, wealth and poverty, there are racial issues, and there's, patriarchal issues, and that they need to work together to find solutions between all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
We met in Timon as I was wandering aimlessly from one ordeal to another. We returned to KatNBows together to expose the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth. The day the Queen benighted me was the second happiest day of my life. The first was our wedding.
Okay.
What can you say? The lesbians love their wives. But Anevia isn't just my beloved, she's my staunchest ally. We share every victory and defeat. The best of me is alive, thanks to her.
Yeah. Also, it's a very small detail, but I'm just so happy I haven't seen any fucking boob plate yet. It's so dumb. I hate it with a fucking passion.
Yeah, she actually has what I would consider reasonable looking plate.
No, that's what I wouldn't even say it's reasonable. It's very accurate. That's what plate looks like.
Yeah.
And even the thing is like yeah, that like very large waist is perfect because that helps defect it from your dangerous areas, and the boob plate makes the blows go directly to your heart, which really pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
That is what or certainly a style of making plate looks like, is that very large chest to help deflect blows. That's a very normal look.
It's practical.
Yeah.
And I think that also says something about the character of Irabeth. She's very practical. She's very down to earth. She's living in the moment, and like, you know, she's, I say down to earth, down to Galarian.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I love the romance between these two.
Mm-hmm. Girls.
I think this is another reason why I really love this game, is because like two of your main characters, girls.
Mm-hmm.
Lesbians.
Thank you for saving her back again. The day of KatNBows fell. Before her return, the only thing that was giving me strength to protect Defender's heart was the hope that I'd see her again. We are in her debt. Woman in real armor. Yes.
Yes, big woman in real armor.
Also, Shroom, I forgot to ask, what are your pronouns?
Shroomy.
Urbeth nods without saying a word. Tell me about the Eagle Watch.
It was a small order created to fight not only demons, but also the enemy within, to maintain the purity of the paladin ranks, prevent heresy, identify spies, and it failed miserably at that. The Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth infiltrated it and formed their nest within its ranks. After the Queen entrusted me with leading the order, Enevi and I practically built it from scratch. We got rid of dead weight, people who weren't committed. We organized ways to transmit messages around orders safely. We introduced reliable ciphers. We found tacit allies within the city, from crusader orders to street beggars. This is another thing, you know, literally what she just said there is they work with the rich and the poor alike.
All right, Bingus.
Like,
anything and everything, so Bingus is okay? I joke. I mean, we're just a bunch of fucking trans people. Of course, you're gonna ask for pronouns, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is just the culture that we have created. This was my personal crusade to purge the city of the Templars who infested it. And I thought I was winning. I could feel it. We were so close to driving the cultists out of KatNBows, but it's hard to admit, but those successes didn't count for much once the demons attacked the city.
On the contrary, if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be a headquarters at all. The cultists would have served the city on a platter. Yeah, I think number one is actually the real... Like, it is the nice option, but I think it is realistically actually what happened. You know?
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
Yes, that's true.
It is a good thing to achieve something. Thank you. I have to go.
I like Irabeth. I like Irabeth and Anevia.
Alright, let's go. I think that's everyone. Let's go. Yeah,
also, like, I'm just happy that they're, like, canon gays.
Yes.
And, like, nobody comments on it. Nobody remarks on it. It is literally unremarkable.
Chief, what do you got for me?
I talked to Erebeth. I decided to make you part of my troop. We'll see how this goes.
You must be a smooth talker. Come on, Delvin. Get these bracelets of yours off me. I'm going free.
You're sure to regret this. This tiefling will fleece you for everything you've got. Mark my word.
You're a bitter little man, Delvin. Petty and mean. You can't even be happy for me, can ya? I pity you. I'll leave you alone with your sad little soul. So long. And now, Chief, straight down to business. You see, I'm one of those guys that people around here call thieflings. We just call ourselves the family. After we knocked over that shop and I got stuck here in the Defender's Heart, a little bird told me that big sister Karisme wanted to see me. That she had some questions to ask me. You following? Now, she won't be asking me questions like, Woljif, how'd you manage to get out of this one? Or, Woljif, you're so thin, didn't they feed you? No, something serious has gone down, and I just know they want to try to pin something on me. I can feel it in my tail. So, I knew right away that I couldn't go alone. You turned up just in time, Chief. You don't need to do anything when we get there. Just stand behind me and look mean, and I'll handle the rest. Somehow. Let's go, I'll show you the way.
Nothing better than a tiefling flying by the seat of their own pants.
Mhm.
That is my favorite character concept. Ending in prison? No, only.
And now you see why I play tieflings in this setting.
All right. Do we need to level him up? I guess we can do that later. Okay, where now? We gotta leave and do some quests.
I believe you have collected a bunch of
Side
quests.
Yeah. Where do you check those? Journal?
There you go. I would uncheck show complete quests. It's in the lower left.
Gotcha.
There you go. There you go. Now we're just focusing on the ones that you still need to do.
What's the difference between Aaron's companion quest obviously makes sense, but Aaron's is that
Wardstone Legacy is main story.
Yeah.
Companion quests is companion quests. Errands are just other quests that you can do for a little bit of XP. They're side quests, essentially.
Gotcha.
Now, the thing I want you to pay attention to are the other icons.
Yes.
The ones with the red hourglass means there's a certain point at which this quest will become unavailable if you do not complete it before moving to the next chapter of the story. If you try to go to Act 2, you will lose it.
Yeah.
So you need to do all the ones with the red hourglass before Act 2 to avoid losing them. Now, the two that don't, I'm pretty sure, don't really have a time limit on them.
Yeah. They're the...
Yeah, that one doesn't really have a time limit. That one you literally cannot do until Act 2.
Yeah. All right. Presumably they give us our party.
Well, you need to get outside first. There's going to be a cutscene. Okay. There's a whole bunch of things you can loot here.
My favorite. This place has been sanctified. It can protect the area from around the corruption of the abyss. Cool. That's a big boy.
It is a golem.
Commander, look what we've got here. Are you too mad? Whatever you possess, you steal a gem golem from the Tower of Estrad Museum. We didn't steal nothing, Commander. We saw the looters dragging it down the street and recaptured it. This shiny fellow belongs in the treasury. The inlay alone is worth more than the castle.
Your new mission is to guard this shiny fella, as you call it.
Can I pet him? What is that, a peepee?
Beep. Oh, beep. Don't worry, you'll be able to collect some other pets.
Oh, good.
He is so perky.
Nothing, no one here with a name, so I'm not gonna bother. Oh, there is a way up to the roof. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Just absentmindedly looking for loot.
I think you can hold down Alt and highlight.
That's what I'm doing.
Cool.
I think I've gotten everything, so just area exit.
And it's going to ask you to bring your party with you when you leave the vendor's hut.
How cute!
Except, it's both young and talented in favor. She's tirelessly fights demons and cultists alike, but prefers to keep at her distance from her fellow warriors. It's hard to tell if arrogance is inherent. Global map. Cool.
You've already got some quests you can go out and do, and you can see the defensive radius around it.
Gotcha.
Also, note the date and time on the top.
Yes.
It is 7:46 in the morning. On the 17th of Eridus, 47:15. As a note, extinction curse happened in 4720, if I'm not mistaken, about 5 years from now.
That's probably the closest one, so let's start here.
All right.
Journey will take 1 hour. Continue. Random encounter.
Random encounter. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. They're worth XP.
Yeah.
How would you like some free XP?
Snack.
Nick. I mean, they're free XP. As my chat, eagerly pointed out at one point.
Enter. See, hey, I got my eyes on you. Hello. The basement is dark and dank and immediately struck by the hostility of the gathered tieflings. 5 of them kneeling along the wall separate from the rest. The tall woman who has been cleaning her fingernails with the tip of a knife groups you with narrowed eyes. Brother Woldriff, you've got my message then. Sorry I couldn't swing by sooner, dear sister. Charisme?
Irasimi.
And one thing or another, first it was the shackles, then, well, no, I was still in shackles and I was being watched and the chief got me. And then the chief got me out and then came here straight away. Yeah, I know you've been waiting on me. Enough talking or else we'll be here all night. So we had a clear plan. We're going to wait till nightfall, slip into the shop, grab the goods and leave. Even if the neighbors called the guard, there was time to get away, but what happened? That bitch Eridith showed up almost right away. She knew we'd be there. Someone betrayed us. I have a good idea who it was. What do you have to say to that? Make it quick. Do you think Wardriff knows the name of the traitor? Converse here is burning while you're scobbling here instead of fleeing the city. She speaks. I thought Woodruff only brought you so he'd have someone to hide behind if things went south. I'd be glad to I'd be glad to leave, like the rest of my brothers and sisters, but in the family, there's nothing worse than betrayal, and it's something we do not forgive. We don't forgive anyone who lets traitors off the hook either. If I do not find the rat, my superiors, let's just say, I'll wish I was in KatNBows burning. If I want to keep living, so I'm going to take the chance. Until I find out who the traitor is here, no one is leaving. Woodruff, tell us your side of the story. What? The burden of proof lies in the accuser. Woodruff doesn't have to prove anything. Single fluid motion could adjust her grip on the knife so that she is holding the blade, preparing to throw it. Burden of proof? Are you a city god or something? I don't know how it is with your lot, but in the family, highest rank is always right. And here, that's me. Woodruff, tell us your side of the story. What is that to tell? About a week ago, Sister Charisma, you said?
Karasimi.
Got the 6 of us together in the very basement, me and those 5 others over there. Jerks his head towards the 5 thieflings kneeling on the wall. She rounds us up and says we got a score. Ancestries and Wonders. The one place no one's ever been able to hit. The place has been guarded by a golem. But now the powerful scroll that would knock out the golem had just so happened to come into our possession, along with the tip-off. The shop owner would have be gone on that particular night. All 6 of us know a bit of magic, and we know that only any enchanted junk will sell for a pretty penny, so we're in. What are you, a cop? Yeah, that's fair. And the most important thing is that none of us was hanging about the shop and ahead of the job. No casing the place, no calling it to ourselves from either Golem or the Master. This was top secret. That's all true so far. Go on. We did everything right. With the locks and the golem. I picked the lock. I remember clear as day. Sister Delem was on the lookout. Brother Malarum had the scroll. Dolphy, Tavi, and Varner brought the sacks. We covered the windows and lit the torches. I remember swooping up the rings and tossing them in a sack. And one expensive roll rolled away from me. I crawled under the table after it. And next thing I know, Erebeth was there. Everyone scampered, but I was still under the table. Not my finest moment. But I was going to wait it out, but then all the blockheads were dragging me out by my tail, put me in shackles. They took all the rings off me, about 20,000 worth. And to insult the digi, I never even found the last one. In the end, I got busted over nothing. So they caught you, poor thing, stripped you of your loot, and you didn't even manage to stash anything. Where's the moon of the abyss, Brother Woodruff? What's the moon of the abyss? It was an amulet. It was used to sit on the little cushion of the window of the ancestors' wonder. Sterling silver, sparkled like a star. Fine piece of work. On one side there was a half moon, known like a crescent, waning moon, and in the middle there was a dark crystal, like it was eclipsing a moon. Old man Felon was so proud of that amulet. He used to say, "I'd never sell it. It's the jewel of my collection." He sighs unhappily. I used to go there and see what kinds of treasures were there in the world. There's nothing else to look at in KatNBows. People used to claim it was a powerful thing, but who's to say if you ever stole the thing like that, you'd have guards on you in the second you tried to fence it. Everyone knew it was you hanging around the ancestries and wonders, drooling over the moon of abyss. Do you think you could swipe it in all the commotion and keep it to yourself? Did you hope that we'd all be locked up and you'd get off scot-free with a fancy trinket to boot? Don't take me for a mug, Woodruff. I see right through you. Why would Erebeth arrest her own informant? Took the words right out of my mouth. It doesn't make any sense. If I were the rat, I'd have kissed her on the hand and been long gone by now. You know me, sister. I'm a cautious fella, not an idiot. Why would I go against the family? So the fish and Selim can have a nice Woodruff-sized dinner? The moon of this is pretty bauble, to be sure, but if it's just an amulet, it ain't worth dying over. You knew Erebeth's people would protect you, and you could pin the moon on gone missing on them, and now you've come here with a backup. You knew exactly what I was going to say to you. Only problem is, nobody's returned the amulet to Felden. Are you giving Erebeth a cut, that is it? Have you seen her? Do you think she'd take a cut of anything if I offered her? She can't be bought. Like 3 heralds of Ireland and all rolled into one. He speaks the truth. I'll find some knights who takes bribes, I'm sorry to say, but Erebeth Terabit isn't one of them. Go on, Erebeth. That's the whole story. Some family, this turns out to be, says the name in the end, a real family. People take care of each other. Take people at their word. They don't throw around accusations. I didn't take the Moon of Abyss. What am I going to do with it? I can't sell it to the No Crusaders. It's a special item. You can't wear it. It'll get nicked. It looks pretty to look at, sure, but it ain't that pretty. If it's that important to you, sister, I'll find it. And I'll drag the trader here by his horn, so just so you don't end up in the bottom of the cellar. But you know what you're going to do? Owe me for that? An apology, right here in front of anyone. You can apologize loud and clear, and everyone hears it. You'll say, sorry, Woljif, you're a good guy, and I was wrong about you. Fine. You're one of my people, which is why I'm going to give you some time, but run. But if you run, Brother Woljif, the family will get to you wherever you go, and you'll spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, tossing and turning at night, fearing the poison in every cup and every meal. You'll look into the eyes of every tiefling you meet and wondering if the family's come for you. You'll have no peace, but one day you'll be tired of running. You'll simply stop to catch your breath, and that's when we'll get you. Got that? You've got a way with words, sister. I've almost got a way that almost made me wet myself, but in a way nonetheless. Let's go, Chief. We gotta go chat that scary gal Arabeth. She knows you a little. We can ask her, tell her who ratted us out. I'll let you do the talking. We'll find the root trader, and I'll get my apology. Onward, Arabeth, Chief. Let's go clear my good name. Root out the trader and be quick about it. Time is running out. We don't want you chewed up by demons. Cool. Cool.
So yeah,
Your shop.
Woljif's personal quest. Good times.
Are you gonna be mad if I pick the lock?
No. You're literally dealing with a bunch of thieves. And what are you going to do?
Hey,
Be
the
a
value
thief.
of life, you wouldn't even look in that direction. I asked you if they were gonna be bothered by
So
it.
exciting!
I think it's funny. It's just like, you're dealing with thieves. Okay, what happens if I try and steal something?
Hey, I didn't know it was theirs. Could have been a normal lock for normal reasons.
Uh,
Alright. Where are we going for? We need to go to the town square? Yeah, Market Square.
Market Square. That's actually where you were in the intro.
Yes.
Did we find trouble? No, they did.
Spoodler.
Giant bugs.
Yes, you can
Cover
flat
me, all right?
creature. Are we over encumbered?
Do you see the red weight icon on your party? I don't.
Okay. They just seem to be walking slow.
Light encumbrance.
Yep, we're good. Alright. Market Square.
Stuff. Stuff. Stuff.
Yes. Whew. Where are we at? All right, we need to run an ad break.
I need to get up and get some more food.
Okay, you do that. I'm gonna run a quick ad break here. Everyone go
Okay.
self-care, grab some water, cycle your fluids. Eat some food.
Exactly true.
Hugs, hugs.
What are you, a cop?
Welcome back, everyone. You back, Mitha?
Uh-huh. You got a drink.
I have acquired some soda for caffeine purposes.
Additional caffeine required.
Easy.
These appear to be enormous cracks, and after magically induced air current through the land.
That's because that's what they are.
No, I'll tell you everything. Just don't hit me. I never stole nothing. I only just joined the tieflings. The tiefling gestures back to where he came and explains something. It was all them back there. They found the underground passage to the gate garrison and they've been nicking stuff out of there ever since. Low down thieving Turegs, that's what they are. But I had nothing to do with it, I swear. Brother Gorst, is that you? Brother Woldriff? I thought I pegged it. I thought
you'd pegged it in Erebus jail. Happy to see you too.
An underground passage to the Gear Garrison. Tell me more. Right, so the temple around here, the Temple of Iamade, has a cellar, and a passage leads right to the Grey Garrison. The Thieflings, my pals, damn near a lot of them, have been using the passages on and off. I'll sell all sorts of stuff to our soldiers. Sold stuff to soldiers in the Grey Garrison. So when the demons burst into the city, we thought we'd check up on the Grey Garrison to see how the soldiers were faring and offer our assistance. Don't give me that look. This is the first time hearing of this. Tieflings keep secrets from each other too, you know. Why are you afraid of me? You're one of the Crusaders, ain't you? You hate our guts. I mean, you locked us up and want to do worse to us, but I'm not a tiefling, not really. Hi, Selena! Or hi, Dwayne!
It's a Selena. Must be self-care time.
Is it Selena? Can I help you somehow? Yeah, let me go, please. Who are you? An honest guy who's fallen into some bad folks, the Thieflings, the local thieves around here. Forced me to join their gang, but I didn't want to. Just don't hand me over to Erebus, Valen Crusaders, please, in the name of all gods. There ever were. Gord is a new addition here to the Thieflings. So far, he's been swiped around 5,000 gold. He's got a long way to go before he catches up to me, kind. They made me do it. Cat, be good today? I request that you be good today.
Define good.
A good girl, even. I don't want to charge him. That seems a bit mean.
Mm-hmm.
You shall not be a good girl? Good only means you murder one person instead of 3. What if it's 3 Republican politicians in Minecraft? Can I murder 3 people then?
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft? Okay, well I guess then I'm not a good person. Go on your way. Cheers, thank you for letting me do this. I'll remember you 100 years, I will. I'll name my firstborn after you.
Hmm.
Still very fun. That's a very funny concept. How'd I get my name, Dad? I named you after a strange fox I found once named Foxy.
And it's like they're a tiefling.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, a tiefling named Foxy isn't that weird. It's still a little bit of a joke, but as long as they're a horny paladin, I can understand.
With grace?
Can we retreat already? Stab you or zap you? Why not both?
Stab you or zap you? Why not both? We love this. That's amazing.
You've crossed the wrong mongrel.
Is there a local map? Animal. Oh. Yeah, so the game doesn't want us to go back there because it would show me better.
Away, you rascal!
You can handle them, right?
Those glasses are so fucking funny. Weapons. Can I give you... I feel like I should give you a ranged weapon. We have 2 Master Whip daggers. Should I keep you at... What is your... No honor in my sleeves. Yeah, you need to be a frontline.
He is a melee. Unless you just decide to make him a wizard, but there's better characters for that.
Learning spells from schools. You acquired a Scroll of Hurricane Bow. You can learn the spell and add it to the spell book. Arcane casters can prepare spells in advance, such as wizards can learn scrolls. Cool. Only problem is why you bonk? Did I press that? I don't know. Why'd I bonk myself?
Pretty good, Selena. We're just playing some Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Having a nice, pleasant holiday.
I am helpful, am I not?
You are helpful, but you're very cryptic about it, and I'm very concerned about that at all times.
We'll make this quick. She won't feel a thing.
I don't know. Can we really do this?
Listen, we don't have a choice. There are demons everywhere. What else would you have us do?
A group of knights surrounds a young elven girl. She's dressed in rags and barely covers hideous scars on her beggar. The beggar's girl is on her knees, watching placidly as the people argue heatedly around her. As if she doesn't sense the looming threat at all, a black crow flies agitated in circles above her head.
In Iomede's name, we're sorry, girl, but it is our duty. We have to do this, not for our own sake, but for the sake of everyone who can still be saved from the demons. If we don't win this battle, you won't have long to live anyway.
They're insane! We've got to do something!
I understand. You're scared. You feel powerless. You think this will help. You don't have to justify yourselves to me. Just do what you've decided to do.
What the hell are they doing? Look,
They're going to sacrifice a girl.
that voice actress has done an incredible job making that sound like the creepiest little girl I have ever heard. But she's friends with crows, and we're friends with crows.
Mhm.
Therefore, we are friends. What's going on here?
Our weapons barely scratch the demon's hides. We're sacrificing this girl to Iomade so we can consecrate our weapons with her innocent blood and gain the power to destroy the spawn of the abyss.
It's
That is
extreme,
not...
but we have no other choice.
Okay, so
We have to defend this city somehow, or else we'll
one
all
is
perish,
very true.
including her.
Can I say this, but sarcastically?
No. Unless you want to gain an evil.
No, I don't. Who told you to do this? That sounds like cultist work to me. That's ridiculous. She can directly prohibit killing innocents. The goddess will curse you for making this so-called sacrifice. Diplomacy feels like the choice. Even if it's harder of a check. We have plus 13 on both. I'm fine with
Good
that.
point. Whose idea was this? I think it was yours. My idea? I was against the whole thing right from the start. Who said we needed to make a sacrifice? Wasn't it you? You can't blame anyone else for that.
This is why I say ACAB.
I hate religion.
Please don't fight.
Religion
All
does
of you
this
are
to
good
people.
Defenders of the city. You just made a mistake. Please don't hurt them.
The little girl is defending the people who wanted to slaughter her a minute ago. She's either a saint or she's insane. Maybe the two together.
Makes me like her more, Lan. Makes me like her more. Just as a character concept.
Hey, I know her. I see her all the time on the street. She's a couple of cards short of a full deck, if you know what I mean.
Hi. Remember when we used to play together when we were little? But then you went and got all big. And I stayed the same for some reason.
It's because you're an elf.
Huh?
Because she's an elf.
Played with you? Pull the other one.
You did. We played tag and hide and seek. Then you and the bigger boys came up with the game where you all threw stones at me. You laughed so hard. It made me happy too. But then you grew up and went away to do grown-up things. Want to play with me now?
For the love of... Canabris is too damn small.
Go to the Defender's Heart Tavern where all the survivors are gathering and don't even think about doing anything so disgusting ever again. The instigator must be punished. The rest of you go to the Defender's...
You want to kill someone? She asked you not to kill anyone.
Yeah, no. That's justice for the point of justice for no point. We need...
That's retribution
Fusion
justice.
Yeah, for no point. Fun fact,
Yeah.
Embry is as old as the World Wound, which means by Elf Sounders makes her a child, so around 16 or so.
Yep.
Yeah.
This
Thank
is
you.
correct.
They're gone. And they all lived. I was sure that someone would die today. So many people have died here already. But we are still alive.
I
for
love
some
Ember.
reason. Strange, isn't it?
I love creepy children. It's a very fun archetype.
Mm-hmm.
But you shouldn't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a silly girl, really.
I don't think you're an ordinary girl, and that crow you have, it's not ordinary either.
No, don't be silly. I'm very ordinary. Well, I know different types of tricks, but Soot taught me those. Now Soot here, she truly is unusual. She's clever and she can talk, but only to me. She teaches me magic tricks and lots of other stuff. I don't know what I'd do without her.
Magic tricks? You say you can prove useful in fighting the demons, and I'll be able to protect you from insane soldiers in the streets. Come with me? Let's finish the who are you conversation first.
Call me Ember. I live here on the streets. for many years now. But there's nothing to say about me.
I must have misheard. This girl? Join our party? What could we possibly want with this dirty little beggar?
She's not a horrible fucking bitch like you are, that's what. And she's,
Yeah.
and she's presumably not a melee fighter, and I've already got too many of those.
Yeah, we've got a little too much melee.
Sure, let's go.
She also has healing
Ew,
magic.
Poor people, exactly.
So you now have an actual healer in your party.
I really like her portrait. That's such good art.
Uh-huh.
The crow is so... I love the crow. It's just so unhinged.
Look at her character sheet. Stigmatized witch.
A strange child of war, a witch who was burned at the stake and yet survived, a godless saint, ready to preach love and kindness to people and demons both. A homeless orphan who has no hope, but who gives to countless people around her. It's hard to understand what hides behind the young elven girl's eyes, and where her bare burned feet are taking her. She wages a war of her own, her own child's crusade.
Yup.
I don't know how many people know League of Legends, but she seems like an incredibly much better executed Annie.
Kinda. I love Ember's story. I think Ember's story is fantastic, and you should do it all the way to the end.
Oh, I am
Because
very interested in her being a permanent party member because I love her design and her entrance to the party so much right now.
Also, her story, if nothing else you do in this entire story does anything to change the face of Galarian, she will.
Yeah.
This little girl is about to change the face of this world. Mostly because I'm a Galarian lore nerd.
I need you give you a tip at some point. Into the house.
I won't let you hurt my friends.
Something.
Rats.
Surrender.
Rats. We are the rats.
Oh, rats.
I love rats. They're friends.
Except when they're swarming and biting.
I mean, that's just a different kind of friend.
I hope you appreciate this.
Why are you so creepy, Camilla?
I am helpful, am I not?
Inventory. I can give. Whoa. Yeah, I'll give a short bow. I don't think you need the crossbow. I think the short bow will always be better for you. Probably, right? Yes? Or am I misunderstanding the rules? Or do you know? Can you hear me, Meva?
I hear you. I didn't hear the question. What?
For Woljif, is short bows better than crossbows? Or does it actually matter all that much?
Okay. Try switching back and forth between the two weapons and see what it does to your ranged attack damage.
Okay.
You might have to switch to the third weapon set. Because you're currently on the first.
Don't mind me.
Okay.
So,
You're currently at +7 with a 1d8 damage. Try switching to the other one. +7 with a 1d6.
gotcha.
So it
crossbow's
looks
a little
like the
better.
crossbow has a higher damage threshold. Though their attack is pretty much the same.
Copy recipe.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't know if I want to start having him learn all these spells. What do you think?
Why not?
I don't know if he's a permanent party member, but meh.
He's better than Camilla.
This is true. Oh, and the next party member I get, Camilla's getting booted, obviously. Oh, thank you for... Did I do that to myself? I keep pressing my own hotkeys on accident. I think. Copy spellbook. Yeah, why not? Can other people learn these, or just him?
Yeah, Shroom Poof knows what I'm talking about.
Good girl.
How dare you?
How dare I?
How dare you bully me?
A bully. A bully.
Also, I guess scrolls are probably fairly easy to come by, so it's not like that big of a
They
deal
are.
to use
Yeah,
them.
it's not really that big of a deal.
Incomprehensible ritual for a summoning circle.
Incomplete.
Ah. Surely.
Good girl.
There should be 2 options on that one. Look around a little more. Yeah, there's
destroy it.
2. Destroy it or finish it.
That seems like the correct thing to do. Surely. Look, I'm all for summoning hot succubi, but
This
this
is my
doesn't
time to
really see the
shine.
time.
Hot succubi come later, honey. Looks up the full-size portrait of Resurlay on her wall.
They will break against our resolve. The Inheritor, guide my blade.
Your time is over.
Rookie Marauders.
You're careful with drift shoots enemies engaged in mini combat, which makes them miss a lot. It's hard to target. Also, didn't I pick up some enchantments something? Medium hide. Is this better? No.
She only has a +4 dex. She's not the most dexterous girl.
And you obviously have better.
Yeah, you want your tank to have pretty high AC.
Ooh, loot. Related with possessions.
How cute! They choose to stand against me?
Loot the room. might want to get your party together. You're sort of spread out.
Yeah. So you and the... Oh.
So exciting!
The elf hunched over next to the clutching as a small but deep contour wound. Her appearance is quite remarkable. Her skin blacker than any grindy, her teeth banged with mouths. What are you looking at, soldier? Like what you see? Take a closer look at her appearance. This is the one that we're looking for, right? With Sela?
Not with Sela, but you do have a quest to look for her, yes.
I can heal you. Don't. I can handle it myself. I don't like when strangers cast spells on me. I can't leave you in that state. What? Was I not supposed to do that?
I just have a personal quirk about somebody who asks you not to cast a spell on them. It just feels sort of like a
Consent
it feels
thing?
like a consent violation.
That's fair. Like someone refusing medical care and stuff.
Yeah,
Like it sucks, but you have to respect that.
yeah. It feels more important to me to respect their boundaries. It's like they set a boundary. They said, "Don't cast spells on me," and you did.
The elf tries to clumsily pull away, but the magic does work, and the stab wound heals her body. Glaring at you, she mutters through her clenched teeth, "Thanks and everything, but next person uses magic on me without permission gets an arrow in the eye." Take a closer look at her appearance. Appears to be the woman is a drow. Her race is also known as cavern elves. They rarely see the surface. It's surprising to encounter you here. Who are you? There's no point in knowing, soldier. Trust me, the answer would only bring you misfortune and it wouldn't be any use to you. I'm a wanderer and you won't ever meet again. I wounded you. Haven't you noticed? The city is burning. There's battle going on. I was wounded by a cultist. Her wounds are so strange. It's not like any of mine. They burned me on the outside, but you were burned from within, I think. It hurt, didn't it? Unperturbed by her cold silence, Ember continues. Yes, I can see it hurt. Sorry that it happened to you. You're a drow, aren't you? You have a keen eye for these things, don't you, soldier? You guessed correctly. I am a drow, but don't think that gives you the right to judge me. There is much you don't know about me and never will know. Believe me, it's for your own good. I know who you are. You're Kalessa, cultist of Daskari. That's a lie.
That's a lie. I loathe demons, and I'll kill any I come across.
Take a closer look. She's clearly holding something back, but she doesn't appear to be lying either. Whatever it is she is hiding, you claim that she hates demons. Her claim that she hates demons is quite convincing.
So, it's pretty clear that Forn was lying about her.
Why would Foreign slander you? You're asking questions that are dangerous and in and of themselves. I urge you to stop. The more you know about me, the higher chances a traitor's dagger will find your way into your back. You're not lying, but you're not telling the whole truth.
Was I supposed to pour my heart out to you? You have your war soldier, I have mine. You're fighting chaos and madness, and I'm fighting lies and hypocrisy. But we are both willing to die for our causes, aren't we?
I believe you. Thorn is located at the Dagger's Heart. You should keep clear of the place.
It was never my intention to set foot in there. Farewell, soldier, and thank you for believing me. She's gone.
What do we have here? No time for idling.
How do you full select again? I guess.
I think it's backspace or tab. I don't remember.
With grace? Is there trouble?
Yeah, it's backspace.
Okay.
Thank you.
Glad I'm helping.
From over there.
You're incredibly helpful.
Too late for apologies.
That's a big boy.
Distract them for me.
Build the bridge out of the debris.
The mongrel did it.
The inner walls of Carnarbrus, which encloses the city, now lies there in ruins. So we did do... some loot.
So if you picked an epic path that you want to take, a mythic path,
I know I'm not doing evil, and I'm pretty sure I don't want to do angel.
Uh-huh.
That's
Okay.
about it I know of.
that kind of limits your options.
Did we step on their toes as well?
Really?
Well,
No glory without
you've got.
risk.
Let me check.
I don't know all the epic paths that exist, to be perfectly honest.
Well, you're even more limited early on in the game.
Angel is lawful good. Azada is chaotic good.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a neutral good option?
I believe. Hang on, I've lost the name. Let me go look it up 1 second.
My beloved brother, I admire your zeal, of course. Would you not agree that this is hardly a time to be standing guard over a hole that no one will ever emerge from? Or perhaps you're concerned that someone will decide to go for a 9-time stroll.
Trickster.
Stroll and will accidentally fall into it. Such foresight is laughable, but do you really need so many soldiers for such a task? Can't your warriors be put to better use, for instance, fighting demons or clearing rubble, while people are trapped still beneath, might still be alive? His face is the golden curled Aasimar, is beautiful even by the standards of his kind, in whose veins runs the blood of angels. His melodious voice sounds cheerful, but bitter reproach simmers his gaze. Holrun, don't you call me brother, heretic? The signs of recent hard fighting are obvious on this startled man. His armor is dented and covered in blood, and his unnatural pallor suggests that something more dangerous than wounds inflicted by claws and fangs. Nevertheless, his gaze is stony, and his voice is accustomed to barking orders and harsh and clipped. How dare you accuse me of doing nothing to protect this city, especially now when the followers of your temple were caught committing treason? To my mind, you are no different than the demon worshippers, those miscreants, those beasts that are digging under the city walls. Everyone knows, my dearest prelate, that in your zealous pursuit of order that in the city, you've long forgotten how to tell a friend from a foe, from good from evil. That is what happened to my adepts, whose act of treason was genuine attempt to save the city. And yet again, I am forced to repeat myself, while we were wasting time on pointless quarrels, people are dying under the rubble of our city. People whom you could have saved, you have only set your soldiers to the task, and not kept them here, surrounding a useless, utterly harmless hole in the ground. Harmless? Well, if it's your say-so, then you must mean there is someone down there, your associates, no doubt, and they're just waiting for us to abandon our post before you slink out and try to. And then I remember you. You appeared in my city the day of the demon's attack. Trendiv died. What are you doing here? Answer me at once, or I'll have you strung up by your ankles before you know it. Don't you think the demons have wounded me? I still have enough strength to take on 100 of you sort. And what is this? What is this hideous creature? Herlin peers at Lan with suspicion. Lan, at your service. Lan, at your service. My forebears fought in the First Crusade. I live in KatNBows my whole life, and you haven't ever met me before? Must be because you don't ever ventured to our underground district. We have been meaning to complain over the city authorized paving stones have been needed of repair for a long time. The First Crusade, you're a mongrel? You obviously know human speech, surprisingly well, in fact. Alright, let's be off with you. Prelate looks at you. If he causes any trouble, I shall hold you responsible. Come to think of it, you still haven't told me who you are. I'm a crusader. I'm fighting to liberate KatNBows from the demons. Crusader, you say? I'll be looking into that. You obviously don't know who you're speaking to. I'm the one who decides who's a crusader and who's a traitor to the city. I'm Herlon Shaphawk, prelate to KatNBows by her grace, Her Majesty Queen Galfrey, and the city's defender against threats from within and without.
If you have a moment, Kat.
Yeah.
I have sent you an image
Okay.
to your DMs on Discord. For chat's benefit, it is an alignment chart. Good, evil, lawful, chaos, and where the 6 mythic paths fall on. Specifically, the angel, and the Azada, and the trickster. Where they all fall on the... Yeah.
I mean, you've already done an Azada, but I hadn't fully watched that, so...
Yeah, I've been meaning to finish that playthrough.
Yeah.
Besides, I didn't actually end up going with Azada in the end.
Interesting.
She changed at the end of Act 4, beginning of Act 5, and she is no longer an Azada. She is something else that is not on this chart. I send you this chart because these are the things that you can do very early in the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of playing to find out to some extent.
Okay. Well, there are some things that you need to do, like, in the early part of the game to set up the path. If you want, you need to make sure you unlock things. So the reason I ask is so that I know where to sort of direct you to make sure you unlock the thing you want. You're going to get Angel and Demon regardless.
Yeah.
So you don't need to unlock anything there. If you want to unlock any of the other 4, you will need to do some unlocking. So the question is, like, are you thinking more chaotic good or just pure chaotic?
I mean,
Like, is your character, like, more chaotic good or just
I mean, she's
pure chaotic?
neutral good is the problem.
Okay. Yeah, neutral good isn't really sort of a thing, per se. If anything, the path that I eventually went with on my playthrough is neutral good.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. You may have to pick up a path that you don't stick with.
Ultimately, I think I'm going to do the one that feels the most... I guess, what is the most nature-based? What's the most, protecting of nature?
Azada.
Azada? Then I'll probably do Azada.
Also, Azada plays nicely into the storyline with Arushale in Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that
And that's
actually...
your favorite girlfriend?
If I ever got a body pillow, it would be a body pillow of Arushale.
That's fair.
All right, so now that I know this, I know to direct you to make sure to do everything you can to not murder your fellow Desnans.
I mean, I wasn't planning on that anyway.
Okay, so as a follower of the Church of Desna, I'm going to recommend that you do everything you can to preserve Ramian's life and not kill Ramian.
Oh, I was already definitely going to do that.
Okay.
This guy seems like a fucking prick.
Hulrune is one of those...
Seems like lawful neutral to me.
I would put him more lawful evil, but, he thinks he's lawful good.
It's complicated because I don't even necessarily agree that the concept of lawful good exists. You know?
That's actually a discussion that we could have, actually. However...
Because I would argue that it's to truly do good, you cannot only just follow the laws that were set for you. You have to break some of them to truly do good, because there are unjust laws that have been set.
Correct.
You know?
And also there are unjust laws within religion.
Yeah.
I've told you the story about the LDS bishop who encouraged me to commit suicide, right?
Yeah.
And it's that is the sort of thing that I would consider... He thinks he is lawful good, but from our perspective, he is lawful evil. And like I said, that's where you can start having that debate is does lawful good really exist? And it's one of those things where it's a matter of perspective. Mm-hmm. People often think they are lawful good when in fact to other people they are very much not. Yeah. Hulrune sees himself as an arbiter of the law, but in his zealotry has gone so far to I don't know if I can say this without giving away spoilers, but essentially it's there are certain groups that take being an advocate of a religion too far.
Mm-hmm. Partially why I really like Sela a lot.
Mm-hmm. Sela's aware that it's some of these people are just flat out crazy and they're taking belief in Iomedae too far. Yeah. And she's right. Sela's in your party right now. She's hearing this conversation with Hulrune.
As we can see, you've done a sterling job protecting the city. The golden curled Aasimar flashes a flinty smile. I am Ramian Esmond, prior of the Temple of Desna, alas, which currently lies in ruin. Wise Herlin here believes it is vital to guard this hole in the ground, from which he is certain demons will emerge at any moment. I have been trying to convince him that the city is far more urgent matters to deal with. For instance, recurring those who are currently dying under the rubble. You know what? There are many, in fact, who are looking. There may, in fact, be one matter that is more important than guarding the soul. I've put it off, and I've put it off, and look where it's led. I should have you hung from the gates back from where you dared to defend your gang of delinquent demon collaborators. If the Sarkonians had hanged Arlu Vorlesh while they had the chance, there would never have even been a war. I won't repeat their mistake. I won't hesitate any longer. Soldiers, seize this scum. Prelates, see reason. These are frightening times, but threatening someone to hang someone without trial, that is unworthy of a servant of Iomade. Lest you forget, girl, we may serve the same goddess, but you are not an inquisitor. Don't question why the way I choose to serve Iomade, and I won't question to serve yours. What precisely you're accusing Ramian of Inquisitor? Do you want to read him?
Reason. Not long before the city was attacked, several followers of his temple tried to secretly access the Wardstone to perform an unknown ritual over it. The Wardstone of KatNBows, a gift from Iomade, the bringer of light, wrought by the hands of her herald, the first in the chain. And followers of that crazy runt of a goddess try to meddle with it using their magic. So already you know that he hates Desna.
Yeah.
Even though both are good deities.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, it's lawful versus chaotic good. And try to meddle with it using their magic. After hearing the voice of dreams, my soldier almost had them caught when Ramian got in the way, allowing the traitors to go to ground. I made a mistake. I didn't have him locked in a cell and interrogated within an inch of his life. And now the city lies in ruins. Time to rectify that mistake.
You can view lawful as adhering to society or adhering to a code, and you can view good in any number of ways. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I've told you before, and I'll tell you again, my people foresaw an attack on the city. They knew the Warstorm has already carried a seed of corruption within itself, and they were trying to simply heal it.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard similar claims before, but now, where was it? Ah, yes, Statuan Von, the traitor who brought down Dresden. The lessons of the past have taught us a great deal, and this is why I never believed you or that mob lies for even a second, and I was right. See, it's just like, that's not lawful, though.
No, it's not. That's the thing. Sela pointed out he's actually way beyond the law at this point.
Yeah. Don't lay a finger on him, you'll have to answer to me. The Aasimar holds up his hands.
You were the defenders of what remains of KatNBows. Can't you think of anything better to do than be at each other's throats in the ruins of a city? You're a fool, Urun. You're a zealot and a murderer. But you're a fool, first and foremost. I told you the Wardstone was weakened. You wouldn't listen. I warned you the city was going to be attacked. You shooed me away. The truth is that my young adepts were trying to save the Wardstone, and you stopped them. Of course, those truly responsible for this tragedy are the demons, but you've done nothing to prevent it, and now you'd rather kill an innocent man and perish yourself than admit you were wrong, as always. And with a wave of his wand, he vanishes.
Beast, heretic, traitor, he slipped away. What about you? What side are you on? If you want me to believe you're no cultist, go and recapture that traitor for me, or perhaps you want to defend him. In that case, my soldiers won't need to be told twice. Orman really warned you about the attack?
Ramian, yeah.
Ramian?
Those crazed Desnans are always bursting into my study with their incoherent prophecies that came to them in their dreams. I won't lie. Sometimes what they said did come to pass. But can we really rely on the woolly dreams of heretics over the cold, hard facts of intelligence reports? Plenty of demons could have easily fooled them and whispered treasonous plans in their dreams, and those lunatics would have been only too happy to listen. Yeah, he hates Desnans.
Mm-hmm.
He hates Desna, he hates Desna's worshippers.
Look, I cannot accept you as a true worshiper of Iomade if you hate Desnans, her wife, for God's sakes.
Iomade and Desna are not... Iomade is not a member of the Prism.
Oh, what am I thinking of then?
The Prism is Desna, Sarenrae. Might be the one you were thinking.
I'm confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's goddess of sun, but she's also a good, righteous goddess. So I can understand the confusion. But Iomade is the inheritor of Eridan.
Gotcha.
And you're familiar with Extinction Curse, so you know the evil bullshit Eridan was involved in.
Yeah.
And Iomade is the inheritor of Eridan. So that should tell you something about who Iomade is. Yeah. And this guy is an inquisitor of Iomade.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do the math.
Yes.
The Prism is Desna, Sarenrae, and Shelyn.
Yes.
Goddess of beauty.
My favorite goddess in the game.
Yes. And Desna's my favorite.
Iomade is a mortal turned god. Yeah.
I have another favorite goddess, but if I say anything about her or her identity, even her name, it would be spoilers to this game.
well, I know what after happens. The demoness, the succubus girl. What is her name?
Nocticula.
Nocticula, yeah. I know nothing about how Nocticula forms in this story, but I know a lot about what happened after because of the circus game that we watched.
Okay, you're talking about Extinction Curse.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
there is a character in Dice Will Roll's Extinction Curse campaign who was a follower of Nocticula.
Yeah.
Now, as I pointed out earlier, the events of Extinction Curse are only about 5 years after this.
Gotcha.
So literally, this game, in terms of the adventure path from Paizo, came out right before Extinction Curse. They literally came one after the other. Wrath the Righteous came out, and then Extinction Curse.
Also, highly, highly, highly recommend the podcast Dice Will Roll. They are another trans Pathfinder podcast.
Well, they are another all-trans tabletop group. However, they focus on Pathfinder and Pathfinder 2nd Edition, whereas we focus on literally anything else.
More story-focused, less combat games. And we like playing a variety.
I think you're doing it an injustice, because I think Dice Will Roll does do very heavy story focus for a system that is... I think Pathfinder gets unfairly maligned as being strictly combat focused. And I think a lot of the people who say that are not playing good Pathfinder.
So I say that not that you can't tell good stories in Pathfinder, and not that the system is significantly better at telling stories than something like D&D. I say that because from a mechanics standpoint. If that makes sense. That's
to me that kind of you're talking about something like the Fate system, or
it is maybe story focused is not the right wording then, because
it's stripping an entire system down to its combat mechanics, and then complaining it doesn't have any story focused elements.
Which it does.
You've stripped it down, and it's Pathfinder literally does have role-playing systems, entire systems built into it. Yeah. And just saying that it's nothing but a combat system is ignoring entire facets of the system.
I would still somewhat argue that it is a combat-forward system. It is very crunchy. It is
It
a
is very
combat
crunchy.
forward
I'm not going to
system.
deny that.
Um,
However, saying that it has no role-playing focus is grossly inaccurate.
and that's not what I was ever trying to argue.
That was more Silver Catboy who said that. And I avidly disagree with Silver Catboy on that one. And I think Silver Catboy was speaking from a position of ignorance on that one.
I think he was speaking from the one GM that run it that was bad.
That could also be. And Selena Foxwell says Iomade is a mortal who turned god, and that is correct. But she did so... See, that's also kind of stripping down the character and ignoring large facets. She deliberately took up Eridan's mantle after Eridan died.
Yeah. Also, isn't one of the Extinction Curse characters a follower of Iomade? Right?
Saren Ray.
It's Saren Ray, not Iomade?
It's Saren Ray, not Iomade.
Okay. Because I wasn't...
And I... Like, the, Redeemer character, Royari, Sansarnax, they were followers of Eridan.
Yes. Directly, not Iomade.
Yes.
That's where I was getting confused, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, Iomade took up the mantle of Eridan long before the events of Extinction Curse.
Yeah.
It's just, it's clear that there are some people who were very stuck in their ways and are very Eridan focused, and there are some that are just like, no, it's betraying Eridan to go and follow this Iomade chick.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the story.
But like, largely the people who followed Iomade were Mendevians. Iomade is a very Mendevian phenomena.
Gotcha. This time, Mr. Curls for Brain came to me, declared demons were about to attack the city's wardstone. Its power and diminished by some kind of contamination or taint. Iomade never forgave me for even repeating the words. After uttering such blasphemy, he should have been locked up along with his followers and interrogated, but instead I simply increased surveillance on them. And what next? My people caught them red-handed trying to attack the wardstone with unknown magic, and then not 3 days later the demons attacked the city. There is an obvious connection between these events. Whether deliberately under demonic influence or the Desnins played rightly into the hands of Discari's hordes, and they almost left the city completely defenseless. Ramian covered for his people's whole time and helped escape my guards. After that, what can I be? What else can he be but a traitor and heretic?
And again, Ramian is correct. He came to you to warn you that demons were going to attack the city.
Yeah.
And he was right, because they had an inside source that was literally someone from the demonic ranks warned them, because the demons have traitors within their ranks. But of course, what is Holrun doing?
Standing by a hole.
He is standing by a hole, but it's like it doesn't see his own hypocrisy.
Mm.
He thinks he is good and pure and thinks it's other people who are to blame. He doesn't see that he made a mistake, and he's unwilling to own up to that mistake.
Yeah.
And to me, that makes someone like Holrun lawful evil, not being willing to see and own up to your own mistakes.
Yeah. So you suffered greatly, better. Nothing had to do with the brood of Nabris. It was nothing. I've taken on worse enemies without my goddess's help. Nabris, also known as the Death Demons, have ability to drain their victim's life force. Judging by his parley, he's lost a significant amount of his energy. The creature can bluster as much as he wants, but right now he's far from the peak of his abilities. Are you so obsessed with finding the enemies everywhere you look? Why? Why? You must not be from these parts. You wouldn't ask such a question. If I look enemies everywhere, because there are enemies everywhere. Who are we to war with? Demons and cultists. They are masters of deception. They worm their way into your favor and masquerade in all manner of false guises. Do you think Dresden was taken by force? No, trickery. We were not for me. KatNBows would have been gone the same way long ago, captured from under our noses. Now listen to what I am about to tell you. This was a long time ago. I was very young, and I had just joined the Crusade. Back then, KatNBows didn't garrison as much public thoroughfare, and anyone who wanted could just stroll through the city. One day, a damn group of Reshibees came to the city's gates, bold as brass. Guards let them in, and why not? For no one was ever turned away. 'Twas no matter. Everyone was welcomed into our city. If you came from Mendiv, or you hauled yourself from across the seas, the Crusade accepted all sundry, but on this occasion we paid dearly for our laxity. Just as soon as innocent lambs were entered this city, we transformed into demons and rushed towards the Wardstone, slaughtering everyone who tried to stop them. 62 people died in less than a minute. The demons used their mutilated corpses to desecrate the obelisk. None of them dared to go near it. The light of our goddess burned them all. So we threw the blood from afar, spattering the Wardstone from every direction. And the lead demon, eyeless beast Minago is her name, jeered and gloated, saying, "We mortals have been sitting ducks, and the creatures was right too. We let our guard down. We all got what we deserved." That bloodbath became known as the Red Morning Massacre, and it was burned into the town folks' memory. Since then, KatNBows adopted different practices. Heretics, cultists, spies, and all rabble who coveted Erlus Gorley, we drove them out. All of the city, we haven't had any trouble since. Many have come here, even Baller Koramazdea. And they have all been set straight, and they were killed for their trouble. You see, Discari himself had to crawl into the abyss and come here. The goddess cursed him in order to break through our defenses. And what did he do? He left again, and we're still fighting. And now it is that vigilance and discipline can do. There's nothing dangerous. Go ahead.
I'm going to point one thing out. It's about 3:30.
Yes.
How late did you want to go?
I was thinking about finishing this conversation tree and then raiding out.
Okay. I've already got our raid out target.
Cool. There's nothing dangerous in this hole. There's no reason to guard it. I won't hear another word. Demons are hiding underground. The proof is all around you. Demons spawn have tried to crawl out and can't harm anyone. Wait, are you trying to lure me away from here, aren't you? Perhaps you're a cultist too. You want to help your friends underground, do you? Well, you won't fool me. I won't take a single step away from here, and you're talking nonsense. I'll have you strung up for treason. Where can I find Ramian? How should I know? The weasel hasn't gone far. He turned invisible. He's probably hunkered down in some hole like the traitor's little rat he is. And he'll be sitting, trembling and waiting till I dragged out of there. With the prelate after you, he seems the only sensible thing to do. It's what I would do. I'm sure lots of things sound sensible to you. And it works too. As you can see, I am alive. I have to go. Go on then, if you have to. It would be good if you could return to the head of the scum. I remember you. When Father and I arrived in this city, you met us. What is this gibberish? As I have nothing better to do than arrange meetings with vagrants. But it's true. You and the other knights tied us to stakes and started lighting the bonfire. Father died. And then one of your knights changed his mind and pulled me from the flames, but then he died too. Don't you remember? If you were burned, then it is with good reason. You say some traitor helped you escape from the fire. That is a crime in itself, which means you have been evading justice all these years. If it weren't for the evasion, I would have reviewed your case and see that your sentence was finally fulfilled. You're lucky we have more important matters to deal with right now.
In other words, Holrune is the one who tried to burn her at the stake as a witch.
Yes. He didn't look the way he does now, all wrinkled and gray. He was young with a big mustache. Ember smiles broadly and draws a large bushy mustache in the air with her finger. You probably forgot all about me. It was a long time ago. But I do want to say one thing. I'm not cross with him. The knight is a true hero. He was just really, really wanted to protect the city. He only got all mixed up about who was good and who was evil. Huron, you sent this innocent child to be burned at the stake. Don't you want to ask for forgiveness? Hardly. Anyone can look innocent. How does this girl manage to survive in the fire? And what about the crow that always flying around her? I advise you take a closer look at the innocent little lamb of you, as you ask me. Just highly suspicious indeed. And you'll forgive him after what he did to you? He thought what he was doing is right. How do you know? Maybe you would have done something thinking was a good thing, but you really were doing a bad thing that hurt someone. But what if I've done the same thing? You can't get angry at people for making mistakes when you might be no better than them.
Does have a point.
Let's go. Yes, let's go. Bye-bye, kind knight. She waves at Holroon with a careless smile and grimaces and turns away. All right. Let's save the game.
I'm not a fan of Lauren.
And do you want to send that raid?
All right. We're going to go take a break. We're going to be back at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, over on the Trans XP TTRPG channel with episode 15 of Blood of the Triad 2099 with a special guest star this time.
Yes. Should be fun. There's more boy meat for you if you're still here, Dove.
For whatever reason, I do not have authority to start raids.
Ah.
I don't know why.
Oh, what did I just do? Yeah.
I've tried twice now. What the heck?
I just hit a button.
Why is that on screen? What?
I don't know.
Let me try again. Yeah, no, it doesn't accept my authority to start raids.
Where is that? Roles manager? Where is that?
I'm just going to send you a quick Twitch URL to your Discord DMs. That is the current raid target for the raid train.
All right. Oh, good.
That is the current stop that they are at right now.
Let's go say hi to Reek.
See you later, everybody.
So it feels very appropriate to raid to an indigenous streamer on 4th of July, because fuck the United States of America.
Yeah. And there are also a couple of lesbians.
Damn. These bitches
Lesbians.
Bye-bye now. Remember our raid message. All right. Hugs. See you all on Sunday. I should be streaming at 6 p.m. All right. Bye.
And I'm going to see y'all tonight over on Trans XP TTRPG.
Yes, I will also be there.
Yay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.